you've caught me with more than my hands up, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Millionth podcast. My name is James, joined once again by Henry and Tom. And today, Henry, the 8th episode of our James Bond series, Diamonds Are Forever, released in 1971, I believe. Runtime of exactly 2 hours, directed once again by Terence Young. He's back.
This was Guy Hamilton.
Guy Hamilton, sorry, and Sean Connery's back as Bond, of course. So lots to unpack with this film.
Yeah, too much to unpack.
But do you know what? Just to start off, because you know we usually open up with our individual relationships with the films, and for me, this is one where I was really actually dreading watching it. I was like, nah, I just want to get this home done with. But actually, when I sat down and I watched it, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. Actually,
worse.
I think I remembered this as being worse than it was
for
when I
me
rewatched
as well. Like when I feel like I have a particular relationship with this film because a bad Bond film is a bad Bond film. Like, but this one I used to actually like it, and it used to be like my second favorite Bond film. I was like, oh yeah, and I really find it hard to enjoy, especially towards the end when I'm older. Like, it's just like so many things fall flat, and it's just like it just makes you cringe in so many places, and it's just like, especially coming hot on the heels of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, like it's terror. It's like it falls really flat. It's I don't want to say it's awful because it has like some good bits, but like you get like some really silly concepts sharp in this film that like some other films like Casino Royale and stuff and whatever can hide behind being parodies or spoofs or non-official releases. This doesn't even have that. It's like an official release with like, and it's just like, you know, I could really imagine some parts of it being in a parody, like some really big things as well, actually.
Yeah, like watching this film felt like being spat on for like 2 hours straight. It's just like I don't know, man. I could not stand this. I didn't really. I think I could only name one good thing from this, maybe two. That's
do you know what it is for me? Like, I was really ready to come in and tear this film a new asshole, but
yeah, you should be.
You know, when I watched it last night, and to be fair, I did this for Casino Royale as well. I had like a palate cleanser lined up afterwards because I'm like, if I have to watch some shit, you know, I'm gonna have a palate cleanser afterwards just to kind of just wash my brain of what I just put myself through. So I actually watched Blade Runner last night, rewatched it again. It's like one of my favorite films, obviously. But like I said, Diamonds Are Forever. I actually, yeah, obviously it's not a good film, but I don't think it's bad either. It was entertaining. It's kind of like you know, in more than one way, it reminded me of Batman '66. You know, that kind of vibe in a way.
Yeah.
There is actually direct relationship.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, okay, you know, but still, like, I think for me it was one of those. You know, this film could have been really good if it just had a couple of like key changes, like
yeah, just a couple.
Yeah, no, genuinely, just a couple. I'm gonna just say this straight off the bat. Then I think if you have a better villain and say George Lazenby's still Bond, you don't have Sean Connery was okay, but I think he was just a bit too old and he just didn't. He was just picking up a paycheck. He was going through the motions.
Yeah,
I think if you say for imagine Diamonds Are Forever, but you had George Lazenby, a better villain. Say Telly Savalas comes back as Blofeld, or
you just want the revenge story,
and you bring in Bunt as well. Let's say
you're basically
make it more of a direct sequel. I think if you just change 2 or 3 really key things, you have quite a good film on your hands.
Yeah, but you have to throw.
You're literally
going
saying
to America, the diamond smuggling.
Literally.
But I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with the diamond smuggling aspect. With Amsterdam and the US, I think all of that was tied together quite neatly. The plot's not actually that bad. I think it's just when you get to Blofeld's bit, Charles Gray's just
and he's cloning himself.
That's really bad. Yeah. I think but that's just Blofeld. That is all fixed if you get a better Blofeld or just a different villain in general.
You understand? You're saying this film could be better if it was basically like On Her Majesty's
different film,
Service.
Yeah. Like, I mean, yeah. To be fair, you do have to kind of. I mean, it's unfortunate that Ilse Steppat kind of died before On Her Majesty's Secret Service came out. But even so, if George Lazenby had actually accepted to make another film, which the original script of this was going to be a revenge film, but when he basically cancelled, they had to kind of throw it all out the window. it could have it definitely could have worked. Just say that he'd already killed Bunt at some point, and then he's now going after Blofeld, like he's in the intro, which
something like that.
They just skip out, like they just pretend. I mean, the thing is, it's funny. You can actually take this as because obviously this is intended to kind of skip over on Her Majesty's Secret Service because it begins with him still in Japan looking for Blofeld.
Yeah. This is
another thing
this thing it's another thing that the film just kind of like messes up a bit because it has that bit, but it also has references to Her Majesty's Secret Service as well. Like it's like, oh, you've been on holiday.
Yeah, that was like a
holiday. So like. And that could also be referring to George Lazenby taking the role for a film, but like,
well, it is.
It's just so. I mean, when I first saw it, like, I mean, when I saw it last time, it was like I immediately thought of Her Majesty's Secret Service because that's where he goes on holiday and unofficially deals with all this more or less. But like, and that's why it's like, oh, but most satisfying, blah blah blah. But that doesn't make sense because how was it satisfying? Like, it's like the most harrowing 2 weeks of your life, probably. Like,
well, that's the thing because he was also basically might as well have been on holiday in Japan as well. So it's the thing you can kind of see it both ways.
I think it's. I mean, I think what you two are doing is you're just comparing this to Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is really unfair.
Comparing it to the film beforehand, aren't you? It's like you compare.
No. I don't think that's fair. I think this is more like just 70s Bond. This is where it starts becoming very leaning towards being more tongue in cheek, more comedy. And it departs from like a serious Bond. I mean, not that Sean Connery was overly serious, but this is, if Roger Moore was in this film, say Roger Moore was Bond, they would fit a lot better, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. He was offered the role for this film, actually.
Really?
They went through they went through so many people trying to offer before they eventually, came back to Sean Connery and was like, yeah, can you please do this? We'll do anything for you,
Yeah, they basically gutted the film for the sake of paying him more.
Because of Sean Connery's payday, the budget kind of took a huge hit.
It's a bit stupid as well if you think, because nowadays like Daniel Craig gets paid like flipping gold mine, and then it's like Sean Connery's relatively is a minuscule scale, but like it just brings the whole film down in terms of like quality. But like,
what can you do?
And it shouldn't, like, he should be paid a better amount, really.
And Sean Connery comes back, and he's just you could tell he's there to pick up a paycheck. His Scottish accent is like stronger than ever, man. He's hardly even trying to put on an accent. And the funny thing with him is, I mean, when we get into the actual storyline, the first thing he brings back not just him as Bond, but all his sort of mannerisms, which Her Majesty's Secret Service did. I don't know. It just brought back. I mean, effectively the first thing he does in this film is like strangle a woman with her own bra, with her own bikini. Man, it's kind of like, okay, great, we're back. Like
I don't know. Yeah,
definitely
that
back.
Was what I was thinking. It's a kind of like really weird kind of. It felt like that joke was put in there just so Sean Connery could do it. Like, and it's like I remember I laughed at it when I was like a kid or whatever because like so it's like so stupid or whatever. But like now it's just like, okay, did they really need to have like this so much? Like,
well, what I want to ask you, Tom, before we move on to the plot is why was this one of your favorite films then? What was it? If you cast your mind back to a few years ago. Why did you like this film originally, and what was it that made you realize that it's, what changed your mind?
I know it was just like comfort food for me in a way. Like it was like just watching like a really it didn't feel like it demanded your attention too much, and like it had like I wasn't like I was a kid, like, so I wasn't like picking it apart like now, and like when you try to like I don't know, review it in a better context, like it does like I mean some other films can get away with it because they like kind of do the silly bits in the right amount, but like in a way that doesn't come at the expense of the plot, and this film just doesn't do that at all. It just like it kind of falls flat, especially towards the end when other films like had so much better like suspense and stakes building up and stuff, and this just like
any particular ones that came before.
Yeah, on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
What I mean is, what was it why was this your second favorite film? What was it that you liked about this film?
I know it was just
comedic.
it was comedic. It was like, I don't know, it just didn't feel too demanding to watch in a way. Like it was just, I don't know, it was just silly. And I mean, it wasn't. Yeah, it was just, yeah, it was didn't feel like it was you had to pay too much like hard attention. It was a good film for a kid, really. Like it was just that it entertained me for 2 hours very well, I think. And then I was like, oh yeah, it's a really fun film. I like it. That's my second favorite. Like
That's
so.
yeah. That's why I kind of this is why I kind of enjoyed it last night because it was lighthearted. It wasn't boring. You know, that's the thing about this film. This is why when it comes to ranking, you know, I'm obviously thinking about where I'm going to rank it, and actually, because obviously what we've done as well, just to recap, is we've all privately made our own lists, and at the end of this podcast series, we're going to read the list and see who got the closest. And I'm sure I haven't looked back at them since I made them in my list in December, but I'm sure I put Diamonds Are Forever right at the bottom or very near the bottom. And now, you know, now I'm thinking, no, I'd actually put it probably above Thunderball sort of thing because at least this
Yeah.
film was it wasn't boring. You know, this was entertaining. It was fairly well paced. It was you know, it wasn't it. Yeah, it had some really stupid elements, but if you kind of just see it for what it is, you don't take it so seriously because the film itself it's not taking itself seriously. This is sort of a camp, colorful sort of Bond film, right? This
But
is
it
like, you know, that's
Yeah,
the
but you
thing.
wouldn't
it's
say
an
the same
official
for
release though, so like you can't really. I'd
Yeah, but
accept
so
something like
are
that
any
for
of Roger
maybe.
Moore's
Yeah,
films.
but you
You
could
know,
say the same about like yeah, but none of Roger Moore's films are like this bad. Like I
yeah, they
mean,
are.
you wouldn't give those excuses for Batman and Robin. Like it's like well, it was a
Yeah,
camp
but
film.
that's
It's like
the 90s. We're talking about 30 years prior or 20 years prior. So what I'm trying to say is that like because I'm aware later on in the series we're going to be looking at Roger Moore films in like a totally and we're going to be treating it like they treat it. And what I'm trying to say is I don't think just because Sean Connery's in this film I don't think you can it's not so fair to compare it to previous Sean Connery films or
well,
60s Bond. This is 70s Bond. This is Bond in the 70s,
well,
and
barely.
that has a completely different vibe to what it was before. You
Yeah,
know,
well,
and
it's not like
that's evident. If you just and I know like it's tempting to go, okay, this is Sean Connery Bond, yes, but only in name. Like if you actually treat the film as it is actually carried out, then obviously it's you're not gonna be so harsh on it. And
yeah,
this is
but
the
there's only
thing.
a
So
2 year
if you
gap
look at it on
between
a
the two.
decade basis, that's what I'm trying to say. You know.
Yeah, but there's a 2 year gap between the two. It's not like it goes over midnight on 1970 and then everything changes. Like and the main problem that I have with this is just like the amount of potential it could have had just got all thrown out the window.
Yeah,
It's like the same thing with Spectre, like they had the whole world in their hands after Skyfall, look what they did with it.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
you know, I mean, this is also the last film they ever used Spectre in before Spectre, because of Kevin McClory, always doing the
But
best.
do they name drop Spectre in this film? I don't remember them doing
They,
so.
no, they don't, but
Yeah,
they do obviously use Blofeld,
yeah.
and
Do
I
you know?
mean,
I just realised, you know, with Guy Hamilton directed this. I've totally got my directors mixed up with the Bond series. So I always do this. But Guy Hamilton directed Goldfinger as well, and
yeah.
Terrence
That's why they
Young.
brought him back because they
Yeah,
wanted to emulate the success of Goldfinger, and it just kind of didn't work. So like
yeah.
when
It's
you look
really
at
it's
it under
strange.
that
Yeah.
lens, it just kind of like falls
well,
apart even more.
speaking of Goldfinger, actually, the original plot, or one of the plots, although this must have been from the novel, actually had no, well, for the film as well, they actually had Gertfrode returning as Goldfinger's twin brother, with a super tanker with a laser on it. So that's interesting.
Nah, it's definitely a good thing they didn't do that.
Yeah, that would have
Um,
been really like. I would still take over Charles Gray's Blofeld, but still.
That'd be
Charles Grace
yeah.
Blofeld, man. Let's
Yeah.
crack on then. We open up, like you said, with Bond in Japan. And you know he's like, "Where's Blofeld?"
Yeah, this guy
Uh,
doesn't even move his mouth, and he's like fucking like
Yeah.
ventriloquist, like
yeah,
going on.
yeah, and then yeah, he does end up. You know, by the way, the music there, it was like a direct. It was that I swear that music was directly from You Only Live Twice as well, wasn't it? Or something very similar. It felt like some
Not
music I've heard
really.
before that music cue. Maybe
Well,
it's even
that's the
from the
It's just
intention.
original.
like
Yeah.
royalty-free Asian music put in the
Yeah,
beginning.
true.
Sound like
Yeah.
So then he goes on to Cairo.
Yeah, you just need it's like any casino, just you need a guy with
it's generic,
hat.
a guy with fez, that's right.
Hit me.
And he goes, go and ask Marie. So he goes and finds Marie. That's her
Marie,
name, right?
That famous location,
Is it Marie? Yeah. Goes, picks up Marie, strangles her with her own bikini. There's something I'd like to get off your chest. And does that. And he comes back. He's like, "My name is Bob, James Bob." It's
the
like
way he says
straight
it is
away.
really
I swear.
weird.
Sorry.
It's like really fast the way he says it.
Yeah.
My name is Bond, James Bond.
Yeah, it's like he's almost sped up, and Scottish as well. Like I said, and it's just like okay, and you can see straight. Even though how many years is this after you owned it twice? 4 years.
3 or I don't know.
He's aged quite a lot. Like it feels like he's aged a lot, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah, that was 67. This is 71, right?
Yeah.
So 4 years, and he looks a lot older.
Maybe we didn't think he was coming back to James Bond.
But anyway, it feels like a lot of time has passed. That's all I'm saying. So he finds Marie, does that, and then rocks up her.
Why does she of all people know where Blofeld is? Like,
it's just
she's just shoehorned in there for that gag, and it's just like
it must be.
Yeah, completely. Blofeld just
none of it makes any sense. Like,
he just has a lab, or whatever surgery place.
Yeah, it's so weird. Do you know what's weird about this particular room?
It's like like a house they've just converted, in got some bushes around it.
Henry, do you know if Ken Adams was on production design again for this film? I think he was.
I hope for his sake that he wasn't, but I don't think.
Well, again, I think you're criticizing this film for the sake of it. I think there's nothing wrong with the. I really like some of the.
I don't even. The only place that looks kind of cool is Willem White's house on the interior. That's
and the oil rig. Oil rig.
Not really.
The oil rig looks like
is
something out of Batman '66, man.
Like one thing I wanted to point out whilst you're on the topic of like stuff like this is this film really doesn't sell the location Bond is in very much. Like previously it was like they really sold you on like I don't know, it felt really glamorous, like that really classy hotel in Switzerland or in Japan in the 60s or is in the Bahamas in Thunderball or something, or in like they do.
I hate it, but I think they do kind of address that later on. We'll come to that because.
And here it's in the literal desert. It's like
we'll come back to that. But I think about Blofeld's like plastic surgery base, whatever that is, with like a swamp in the middle and stuff.
Yeah, they just casually also have like the pits of hell in the corner.
Literally.
It's like what that like set alone gave me shades of Dr. No. There's like some kind of Thunderball vibe as well there, like got a bit of younger slice. Yeah, it kind of but like there was something about like the set design just really reminded me of just like previous. It must have been Ken Adams again.
I don't know. To me, it just kind of like
it's just a cheaper budget.
It just looks cheap. I don't know. Yeah, like that. And it's like and you had this guy in like covered in. I mean, it looks like
how's that?
No, that was really weird. So he goes in there and he's like the guy. There's a guy like laying down in clay. Pulls out a little gun because of course you would lie in there with your gun, as you do.
He's meant to be like a Blofeld clone, but he looks more like a clone.
Looks like Scaramanga.
It's really weird because you look at you look at his face, and I remember as a kid, I'm like, I'm trying to like, am I supposed to know who that is? It's so confusing because, like I say, it does look a bit like Scaramanga. It looks a bit like, is that Blofeld or is it like I don't know who that is, man. It's just like some weird guy, man.
Yeah.
And they focus on his face and they focus on Bond's reaction, and it's really unclear what's going on.
As with many things in this film.
And just you have Charles Gray there, and they're just trying to retcon it, like, plastic surgery, like, come on, man. Plastic surgery and cloning, yeah. Okay.
There's no like
as well. I just want to point out that the stuff that they used to whatever that kind of brown clay was, originally they actually used mashed potatoes to kind of recreate the consistency, but what they forgot to account for is the fact that it was like really hot in that room, so after a day it like stank like so badly they had to like basically remove everything.
And how
so then we have basically like to cut, so Bond gets in there, Blofeld shows up. Who we think is Blofeld?
Yeah, the guy with the
sideburns,
like the sideburns of all time.
We always got to shout that guy out, man. Bond's got like a mouse trap in his jacket.
Yeah, as you do. But
As you
like,
do.
there's no atmosphere to Blofeld at all. Like in the
Not
other two, he was like he's just like some actor who we've seen before in a previous film, and it's like he has hair and everything, and it's just like it's almost
and
like the
he's just
guy's
like
No, the
so
acting
weird.
is so like it's like
It's
the
so
acting's gone out the window as well. Like he's like, he's standing behind the surgery desk and he's just stood there
It's like kill him.
He just says, "Get him,"
there's nothing
And-
menacing about him. There's nothing scary or intimidating. He just looks like pretty much what it is, some average guy like dressed up like Blofeld. Like not even like why
like almost-
can
did
we
they choose
shout
Charles
that
Gray?
his,
He's
like,
ridiculous.
It
He's
feels like someone
ridiculous.
auditioning
all
for
his
Blofeld
henchmen-
rather than
We're going to
an
rank the
actual
Blofelds
performance.
obviously eventually. I think this guy even goes below Christopher Waltz, man. You know, and Charles Gray's embarrassing himself.
This guy as well, like his henchmen, they've got like this stupid like little helmet which just has like a Z on it for some reason. It's like like a very evocative like lightning strike. I don't know if that's meant to be like referencing something, but I don't know.
And then this really poorly choreographed fight gets underway, which is like,
Yeah.
and then like it's so awkward as well. Like Blofeld just stood there with like some random knife, and there's like,
Yeah, he only picks up
it's
the knife after his guards have been.
And he does like the worst lunge with it ever as well, man.
Yeah, Blofeld doesn't carry a gun or anything. Yeah, and he only just when like Bond hits him on the head or whatever with like the dentist light on the chair or whatever.
Yeah,
Like he just like falls forward. He just like is like lying down in the plank position, and then he like only looks up when he's just about to go face first.
And then and he's doing this
trying
little
to
hand thing there, yeah, man. It's just embarrassing. Then
this is
welcome,
like
welcome to
some,
Hell Blofeld. Like, yeah, man.
worse than a spoof,
especially if you remember how he was in Onarashi Secret Service. Like, it's like, wow, this is like he's been reduced to in the space of one film, and it's like,
No, in the space of 5 minutes,
yeah, it's. I just
Just
don't
the
know what
thing,
they were thinking with this. It's ridiculous.
the intro just lets it down like so badly, like almost immediately.
Yeah, I think the intro and the ending aside, you have a decent film though. This is the thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you cut Blofeld out of this, just
Yeah,
try and imagine.
Well,
Try and
Cut the
imagine this
main
film
villain, yeah.
without Blofeld. It does. I think between now and when Blofeld returns, you actually have quite a decent film going on. I was actually quite invested in it when I was watching it, and genuinely, I was going into the film with an agenda, and I don't like to do that, but I know which films I like. We've each seen these films so many times. It's hard not to go in without any prejudices. And even though I went into this film with like a lot of prejudice, I actually went. It wasn't. I'm not going to slaughter it because from here on out until Blofeld returns, I think you have quite a good film. You have bit in. Okay, so I mean, we get onto it. First of all, we have Shirley Bassey returning to do the song "Diamonds Are Forever."
The song is quite memorable.
Quite famous. One of the well-known ones, I would say. Although it is very sexist, so
Just like
I think they deserve it. I mean, they're trying to balance it out from Sean Connery.
Yeah, it's currently a 9-to-1 ratio right now.
Yeah. So we have that. Although what I do like is how it transitions from Blofeld's cat into the diamond thing. That was okay.
Yeah, it's all right. He just had to carry his cat around everywhere, like.
Yeah. Well, it does play a part later on. So.
Yeah.
So then.
A little bit.
So then we return, and Bond and M are checking out some diamonds. And they meet up with this dentist who's like basically does a bunch of exposition on diamonds.
He repeats the same thing twice with like the fun.
Yeah, like it feels like they're just struggling for words for the plot. And do you know what? Like I remember now the Goldfinger scene where they're talking about, they're explaining it really like in good detail and high level as well. Well, and then it's like and this is why gold is unlike diamonds much easier to smuggle. Blah blah blah. And now that's like pre-roasting this film for its plot, and it's like, yeah, and it just like I don't know, that kind of encapsulates sorry the how I don't know in terms of plots this film being like I don't know just really inferior in so many ways, and like the way it's outlined, it's not like it's very long and drawn out, but like is a bit misleading, and like when he's outlining it, it's like even though the industry prides itself on the loyalty and devotion of its workers, like and there's like this weird scene in the dentist where the guy's like pulling diamonds out of their mouths and stuff. And then there's this one random bit where some guy comes in, just does a really wide smile with like perfect teeth and stuff, and then it's like, okay, what's this supposed to mean?
But
Like,
do you not get why that is?
I mean, I guess I hazard to guess it's like he has perfect teeth and obviously doesn't need the dentist, so he has like.
Exactly. It's
But
ironic.
but as a
It's
kid, I
satire.
was like,
Do you not find that funny?
not
It is
really.
kind of
That's like
As a kid,
yeah,
it,
I think that's
confused me. It was
like quite right. He walks in, he's just like this perfect set of teeth, and it's like, oh, it's just like this. It's so obvious there's smuggling going on,
Yeah, no, but this is
Yeah.
the thing. It like kind of tears down a bit when they're like, this guy's like saying like, yeah, they have like an airtight security system, and all this, and it's just like, which he says the exact same lines twice, and I don't know why. It's like you're repeating the joke louder, and it's like, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is
that's
a
right.
bit.
So then, and
One
then
little
Bond. I
funny
mean,
little-
there's a bit is spliced in here, but I'm just gonna like sort of flip it a little bit. So we've got basically, I mean, they go into these characters that we're about to meet, but what I do like is this scene sort of ends with like, okay, so Bond's like, oh, why do we need to be involved in this? They give him a reason. He goes, okay, well, I've always fancied going to South Africa. He goes, you're going to Amsterdam, Bond. It's like, oh, and do you know what's
No,
funny
right,
with that?
yeah,
It's
well,
like
like,
how South Africa was such a glamorous, sort of tourist destination back then, and still is to a certain extent. But I think probably quite a few problems that we're not going to go into that today. But Amsterdam, on the other hand, like back then, I mean,
He
is
says you're going to Holland. But
I
like,
went to Amsterdam in September. I fucking love it. It's probably my favorite city in the world now. But Amsterdam, 50 years ago when this was taking place, was completely different. This is before Amsterdam became what it is
do
today.
you know what's
Yeah,
really
right.
interesting
Sure,
about
makes
that
sense.
actually is I was watching like Dutch Bond fans like review or something and then he was like, yeah, and what's really interesting is this when you see like the camera panning around Amsterdam, it really hasn't changed at all. And I was like, oh, okay. So when you said it's so different now, I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
it's the
but I'm
culture,
not talking like
not the
architecturally or
yeah.
anything. I'm talking about sort of
Yeah.
what. Anyway.
What Amsterdam is known for,
Yeah, what you what's
It's
the
not you don't go
traditional?
there for the coffee houses.
I'm not going there for the architecture. Although you could. I mean, it is a beautiful city, but you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's Amsterdam. So anyway, I just find that funny. It's like you're going to Amsterdam, not South Africa, and this is what ties back to what you're saying, Tom. They didn't like glamorize the locations they were at. I think they almost like made a point of that. It's like, oh, could have gone somewhere exotic like South Africa, and it's like, no, you're going
yeah,
to
but we don't have the
going to
budget
Amsterdam.
because of yeah.
Oh yeah, and it was Holland,
Supposedly.
not Netherlands back then as well.
Yeah.
It's worth
No,
noting.
Holland
Anyway,
is like,
They just kept
Holland-
getting it wrong.
while they're doing the exposition, we get to meet two interesting characters. We get to meet Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd, and they go about and their like involvement in this film is basically tying up loose ends. They're assassins. They're killing off people that get in contact in the diamond smuggling chain,
Yeah.
and they do so in quite
I do like they always have
exotic
to
ways.
make. I do like it's like almost like what Bond does. They always have to make
Yeah.
a joke about it afterwards.
Yeah, and they have like these dramatic methods of killing. The first one we see them in the desert. They kill this dentist.
Yeah, but
Do you know what?
the acting of that was terrible.
Do
Though.
it, yeah.
But you know what? I mean,
let me just
when
drop something down here.
Do you know that
Ooh, and this goes
initially
like-
they were going to do something way more violent? I think I forgot exactly what it was, but they're going to like
I know because I've seen
stab him in the neck or something. I don't know. And then like they
Uh,
opted to put scorpion behind his neck. Eventually, I was like, okay.
What
Well,
they
you're gonna
did. There's a deleted scene which I saw for this, and it was like basically instead of putting down the back of his like shirt, they actually like shoved it down his mouth and then like just held his head shut, and he just like dies like that. But they said it'd be too violent,
Well,
'cause-
that would have
Yeah.
been pretty violent. And then obviously, I don't know, and then obviously the helicopter comes to collect the diamonds, and then they hand over a bomb basically, and this helicopter explodes, and they've got
Yeah, the
they've got this
worst
dialogue,
effects
they've got this
in the
back
world.
and forth. Obviously, Wint and Kidd, they're gay as well. They walk off into the sunset, holding hands and stuff. Now,
I do like the little musical cue they have, which is
I
quite
love their
fun.
theme,
Yeah.
and I actually quite like them as characters. It's like it's strange, but I think they're probably
They're
one of the most
alright,
memorable. Yeah, they're
They are
probably the
pretty
most memorable
memorable,
part
yeah.
of this film, and not for the wrong reasons.
They have a
I
couple
think
of they
they're
have a
actually
couple
quite
of
good.
funny they have a couple of funny moments as well. But yeah, I think as assassins, they're like pretty like unique and creative, I suppose.
Yeah, that's
So
true. So give them,
that's a good part. That's like, you know, we'll look at good parts where we can find them. So yeah.
Well, you could even call it a diamond in the rough, but still.
That's
Exactly.
right. They go and then obviously they go on to meet Mrs. Whistler, who's like doing some kind of school thing, and they give her some diamonds, or she collects them from. I don't know. There's a diamond exchange happening,
Yeah, you
and
don't
then
know.
we go on to see some tourists in the boat on Amsterdam, and they're like, "Oh, look over to your left," and then she's being like hauled out the river, man. It's like
I
pretty
don't know.
scary,
I've
man.
got
I
two
don't
like
know.
questions about that. Like, first of all, of course, that's really grim. Like seeing that as a kid, but like, how did she end up in there? Like, did she? Because I don't know when
Out the
she's doing
window.
that. No, because like, if you think it's a bomb, then like, she like maybe gets blown from where she is into the
No,
river.
it's not a
I
bomb.
don't
I
understand.
mean,
They just
it's
killed her
just
and chucked her
Winton
in the
Kid.
river.
From what we've already seen from Winton Kid, we can, we can assume they had some exotic way of dispatching her.
But she like, she seems to be in a really different setting than like Amsterdam beforehand, and like,
But they're in Amsterdam. She's in Amsterdam the whole time.
you sure? Like she's like giving
Yeah.
some lesson or missionary thing. I don't know, but like
Yeah, she's
she's
definitely
Yeah,
Dutch.
it's just something I assume you're meant to just assume, really. It's not like with
no.
this. I mean, to be fair, of all films, this is not the one you have to think very hard about.
I mean, for some
And as
plot
well,
things, if you're trying
and
to
they
make
have
it
a like.
clever.
This is what I quite like about Mr. Winton Kid. How like sadistic they are. They have this like really sick banter, where they're like, "Oh yeah, well, she did. Mrs. Whistler did say she wanted some pictures for the kids, and he's like taking pictures of the body, man, being hauled out the river. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
these
Do you
guys.
reckon the tour-
Oswald
do you
Strong
reckon the
frame a replacement.
do you reckon the
These are
tourist
perhaps like the illest Bond villains we have, like
do,
they're
do you
sick, man. They're sick
do you,
in the head.
do you do you reckon the tourists got a refund for that like little boats all they had, or
Not
can you imagine?
companies not liable, are they, for corpses being hauled out?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, then we get Bond rocking up in Amsterdam.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
actually,
fine,
first we get Peter Franks, and then we get Bond rocking up. Sees Moneypenny. They have a bit of banter.
Yeah, she's got. This is the thing as well. The reason why I don't know why I always just like noticed that she's wearing that hat. The reason is because she had actually dyed her hair, so
No shit.
for another role. But um,
Wow.
yeah, she was almost recast in this film actually because her agent demands on her behalf that she was paid more because you know this is also they'd requested her to be in this film in the middle of her filming something else, so this kind of like stuffed up her schedule. And also, she wasn't paid much for the previous entries either. So
Interesting. Well, anyway, yeah, we get a little bit of banter with her. I think it's and it's nice to see Moneypenny, familiar face. They have a bit of flirty.
yeah,
I think that's quite funny, like their line. Anyway, so then
it's
we
I like
go.
that bit though. Like when
Yeah,
they're
yeah, definitely.
then
Then
you
we
get
go
the
and meet. Bond
immortalization.
goes and meets Tiffany Case.
Hey, you missed out the hovercraft, man.
Yeah, you get some
Yeah.
stock footage of like a hovercraft as well.
Yeah.
Lest we forget. Not the last time we'll see a hovercraft. But there, yeah, Bond goes to meet Tiffany Case, played by Jill St. John, and that is our connection with Batman 66 because she's in the very
Not the only
first
one.
episode.
She well, actually, for this film, they also approached Adam West to be Bond, and
No.
they offered him the role, and he said he denied. He basically turned it down because he said no, Bond has to be played by a British person.
Yeah. Well,
So,
fair play.
quite, yeah.
Oh, can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Oh, don't gas me, man.
But
But he
like,
did the right thing.
Yeah, man.
But if any American was ever going to play Bond, apart from Ryan Gosling, then yeah, Adam West.
James Brolin.
Yeah, well,
That's
you had to deliver me the news that Timothy Dalton could have been Alfred, but
Yeah, true, true. Well,
Is it
anyway,
gonna? Yeah.
either
We
way, yeah,
meet.
Jill St. John,
Yeah.
she's in the very first Batman episode in the TV series in 1966. So yeah, I mean, it's always interesting, and her character in this film, it's weird because I watched a documentary about the Bond women, Bond girls, and it was presented by the one from the Living Daylights. And Jill St. John appears in this interview. Not all of them do, just a handful. But Jill St. John, she takes a lot of pride in her appearance in this film, and it's funny because she saw her characters kind of being like not a bimbo and not like some of the like one of the first Bond girls that kind of was like was not like an equal to Bond, but like was the beginning of like the independent sort of strong
Oh yeah,
Bond.
the real beginning, which totally started in this film and not the one.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, it's weird because I quite like Tiffany Case. I think she's quite. It's weird. It's a weird one. She's like. She carries a lot of like unfortunate early Bond girl tropes, where it is quite easy to label her as a bimbo, which she is a lot of the time. But
She just.
I quite like her though in some weird way. I think she's still like she's got a lot of attitude. I think she's a bit more of a fleshed out character than than what we've seen a lot of the time before. Obviously, putting aside Tracy, I think this is she's actually got a bit more to do than most Bond girls that we've seen so far, and I think from that point of view, I think she is memorable for those kind of reasons, and obviously a redhead as well. And we do get a funny comment from Bond in this scene where he got because she changes her wigs, and he goes, "Well, if the collars and the cuff match, then
Yeah,
which is a joke I didn't get for a long
combination-
time until recently.
Yeah.
There's a culmination of all the gingers he's met throughout the previous films, and we finally get confirmed that he usually doesn't like gingers, so it's quite fun.
Unusual.
Yeah.
Unless the collar and the cuff match,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also in case the firelight is just right, The other thing as well is in the novel, actually, Tiffany Case is blonde, which is a reference to the beginning of this when like she's originally blonde and he was like, yeah, when he blonde when he just came in, but
Could be. Like the bit where she like gets the fingerprint of like James Bond on the glass.
yeah, just
like
let me just go
was
to my
so-
cabinet where I have this here.
I thought it was so weird when I was little. Like I thought I didn't understand what she was doing at all. I thought like she was like maybe I don't know like
So you like this film because you didn't understand most of what was going on, and when you understood it, then you're like, oh no, this is shit.
yeah, you could just like
Yeah.
switch off during it. So like this film, like I thought she was like maybe a really big. I don't know because later she says, "Oh, you just killed James Bond," and then
Big James Bond
and
fan.
then yeah, she was like a big James Bond fan or something, and then like was taking like his picture or something on the fingerprint on the glass and stuff, and it's like just so she can have it or whatever. And I'm like, okay, and yeah.
way to interpret it, I guess.
Yeah, I just didn't get it. I thought it was a bit long drawn out showing all that, but whatever.
I don't know. I mean, she obviously then it cuts. I mean, the whole fingerprint thing is just so like you can have a chat with Q later on. He's peeling it off. He actually
Yeah,
prays.
I love Q as
Yeah.
well. Like he's on the phone. You just see they're like levering, like they're just hovering to like missiles over a car. They're trying to put it in.
Yeah.
I think
love
that's
it.
an Aston Martin.
It did look like a DB5, didn't it? You only get a little glimpse, but it did look like one, didn't it?
Yeah.
But so
Budget can't afford to
and
run
I think
that kind of
Q
film.
and during this conversation, Q goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, Peter Franks is on his way." So Bond's like, "Shit," like drops the phone basically, and like basically long story. I mean, okay, there's quite a funny moment where Peter Franks, Bond has to anticipate Peter Franks before he goes and meets Tiffany and blows his cover, and he does so, and they have like there's an amusing. There's a lot of comedy. This is why this isn't like previous Bond films. This is like a 70s. There's a lot of like comedy slapstick stuff. Bond's like making out with himself sort
And
of
it only
thing.
makes sense if you see it from behind, which doesn't make sense anyway. If you
Yeah, I know
Peter
the angle
Franks.
just does, but it raises a laugh every time, doesn't it? We all laugh at that moment. He goes up and he pretends to like speak. I don't know. He's like fooling Peter Franks. You are English. Like,
No, I don't say that is the worst impression of a German accent I've ever heard in my life.
you need to watch Sean Connery when he does a Russian accent in
No, but this is specifically
Red
German.
Dawn
It's
or
like
something.
horrible.
Yeah, but what do you
It's supposed to be
expect? It's Sean
dubbed
Doesn't even
Connery,
sound
man.
like
He
a
can barely do
stereotype.
an English accent, let alone anything else. And anyway, if you want to see a bad Sean Connery accent, watch. It's like infamous for being the worst accent in film history, apart from I would shout Kevin Costner in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Worst accent ever. But also Sean Connery trying to do a Russian accent. You can just imagine how that sounds.
Yeah. I don't really want to imagine, but I can.
Well, anyway, so anyway, we do have quite an interesting fight though because Bond fights
This is
Pete
a good
Franks
fight,
in
I'll
this lift.
say.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very claustrophobic. It's very cramped, And what's interesting for me is there's no music at the beginning of it, and then they bring in some music towards the end. I think, it's okay, isn't it? You thought it was anticlimactic?
No, I don't like that music. But this is a funny thing as well. Peter Franks, the actor, actually, he accidentally tore off Sean's hairpiece in one of the takes they filmed this.
No way!
Yeah.
Yikes! Wow.
Yeah, that must have been interesting.
Oh, that must have been funny, man. But yeah, we have this. I'm sure I've seen this actor before somewhere as well. I'm going to look him up in a moment. But
Another
I
one
think
of those blonde henchmen, you know.
no, I haven't seen him.
In the
I don't know. It's sort of one of those familiar faces. But yeah, they have a fight, and it is a good fight. I think, considering like it's like in a cramped lift in some Dutch motel, whatever that, not motel, hotel. But either way, so Bond basically kills him, switches the ID, and then we get like one of the famous lines, you know, oh, you just killed James Bond, you know. It's like, did I? You know, oh, no one's indestructible, you know. I thought it is quite funny, you know.
Because it like, I don't know, it just sets off so many like inconsistencies later, like that was. Because you hear some people criticize Roger Moore's films. Then when interviewed, Roger Moore's like, I mean, the premise is silly anyway. Like he's supposed to be a secret agent in a world where everyone knows him, and I don't feel like everyone was supposed to know about him. But that line makes people believe that he's like famous in the world that he's in, and it's like,
yeah, but
that's the way it is. It's like,
criminal, so she would know, right?
yeah, but criminals aren't supposed to know who he is. Otherwise, how could he infiltrate anything?
Well, to be fair, if you've like knocked down like something like Spectre that many times, among other things, like
She's not
you're
really
bound
part
to-
of Spectre, though.
I know, but like, you know, in the criminal underworld, like you're bound to know there are certain people who you just never want to cross, like in terms of spies, surely. Just
Of
in the
course,
same way
but I think Bond would be known by name, but maybe at her level, not by face, you know.
Maybe.
Because it's not like they had the internet or anything, you know. They weren't passing around photographs. I think she probably knew him by name. Someone told him about, you know, like, but probably didn't know his face. Probably. I don't know why I'm defending Diamonds Are Forever today, but you know, here we are. Someone has to. So anyway, Bond goes and smuggles the diamonds into a coffin. Well, he puts Peter Franks in the coffin, pretends it's his brother, gets on a plane.
And like when he gets on the plane,
So-
there's like the most bait spying thing ever. Like they're all just chilling there on the plane, and like he like goes to his seat, and then there's like this curtain, and then Mr. Kidd is like just poking one glass out. It's so obvious, and then it's like, okay, does no one pick up on this? And Bond like sits on the seat that's closest to where Mr. Kidd is as well. It's like, okay, like this film like completely isn't taking itself seriously.
Well, I mean,
like,
Tom, you do have to remember this is for an American audience, so
I mean, it's for.
And I will say, I don't know, I liked it because you're like, oh shit, you know, like, and
yeah,
that,
it's creepy, but like,
to be like, oh, what eye color was he? You know, like,
but also, Henry, did that shot not remind you of another? Yeah, you know.
but if you're gonna spy on someone, you're not gonna like do that when they're entering your plane, like sit in the seat that's right in front of where you're doing it.
Yeah,
like,
I know, but if
it's
James
just
Bond
so
was a real
stupid,
spy,
man.
he wouldn't, you know, do half the stuff he does. So you know.
Yeah, but like
That's the
even in
thing.
other
I
films, they
think. I
managed
mean,
to,
Henry,
like,
a little less so, but I think I get the sense you're treating this film far more seriously than it treats itself.
yeah, but it shouldn't have to like treat itself as such a joke.
But you're not going to treat Octopussy seriously later on, are you?
Yeah, I am, because it has serious bits in it that are done well, rather than.
But it has a lot of slapstick comedy in it as well. It's
Yeah,
like
'cause
it's
they're
got
done-
a
they're
lot of
done in-
unserious things. It's
they're
got like
done
the
in the
camel
right
and all that
amount.
stuff.
They're
That's
like
that's
they're
not
like
real.
they're
Well, to be fair, you do have to
executed
strike a very
in-
fine balance in this as well, though. And I think this film tips way too far one way. Like when Blofeld himself was like a joke.
Now, okay, now again, this is I agree with you when
If
it
we
comes to
deleted the
Blofeld.
entire villain from a Bond film, it'd be an all right film. You know, it's nothing you really want to
I
say.
agree with you about everything to do with Blofeld. I can't wait to hammer him later on. But I think apart from Blofeld, I think all this stuff, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but all this stuff in Amsterdam so far has been pretty decent. Peter Franks and just, I think this has all been okay so far.
I could have lived with that.
Not
And
really.
Wint and Kidd, you know, I think they bring like a good
Wint and
edge to it.
Kidd, fair enough, but like when Tiffany Case, I don't know, she just like her character switches up so much. Like at some points she's like supposed to be in control of like the business and stuff, and then she just freaks out when Bond like trolls her with like his ID card placing or someone else like, and she doesn't notice that happening either. It's like really like it feels a bit contrived and like she just I don't know like it just doesn't hold up in my opinion.
Well,
Like
anyway, I mean, the
that.
one thing I do find funny is that like she supposedly had just picked up the diamonds from little old lady yesterday, and had like already arranged them in the chandelier that fast, you know. But I don't know.
Well,
Maybe
anyway,
a day
Bond's
out
on the
to do it.
plane. Winton Kid are right behind him on his tail. Then he goes and meets yet another Felix Leiter. For sure, the most forgettable Felix Leiter of
Yeah,
all
you know,
time.
he was
I
so-
actually, I was like looking at this guy and I was like, is that Felix Leiter? Like, I know he's just said his name is Felix Leiter, but this
the
guy
thing.
is the most forgettable face I've ever seen, man.
This is the thing as well, because
Yeah.
I always remembered, for some reason in my mind, I remembered that it was Shane Rimmer as Felix Leiter in this film, and for some reason,
Shane
like
Rimmer, I'm supposed to
Shane
know that name?
Rimmer, he is in Batman Begins, the guy in Water Control Tower.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Also,
okay.
yeah. Anyway, um, among other things, he was also in Millionth twice. But anyway, and the thing is, he is in this film. He's just like Felix Leiter's buddy, along with like some other guy, and it's like they're all so.
Oh, I was gonna say, I thought you were saying Shane Rimmer was Felix Leiter. That's why I got confused.
I
Yeah, he
thought he
is like,
was, though,
yeah,
like-
no, I did recognize him later on. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
always remembered him as Felix Leiter in this film. I was just like, oh, never mind. There are like three kind of Felix Leiter clones here, so you know.
Yeah, that's right. So obviously they go and they check out this the body. They go and then Bond is shown to a hearse with these three American guys. They go and drive off and go on, Henry. I know you you wanna.
Was it the light? To be with these gangsters, you know, they're like, "Yeah, you want to sit in the front, Mr. Franks? So let's smooth the ride in the front." And then there's the one guy in the back. Yeah, because he's like, because the stiff, the deceased, is he your
Yeah.
brother? He's like, yeah.
That's quite
He's like,
funny, actually.
the guy in the back's just like, yeah, I have a brother, and he's like, yeah, small world, It's just like.
By the way, with Shane Rimmer, I've just looked him up on IMDb. So yeah, he's in Batman Begins, You Only Live Twice, Live and Let Die, Spy Love Me, Diamonds Are Forever, and
Live and Let Die.
Star Wars.
When was he in Star Wars, man? Which
When
one?
was
I
he
don't
in
know,
Live
but
and
he's
Let
like
Die?
he's in the original Star Wars, like the first one. So
Nice to know.
yeah, just I mean, I'm not going to bother looking any further than that. But according to IMDb, he plays a part in that film.
Yeah.
So maybe he's a stormtrooper or something. Knowing him, bless him. Anyway, so then they go to where Henry is right now. Morton slumbers.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of
Slumber
name
state.
is that, man? Morton slumbers.
Yeah,
This
Mort's
scene
Mort
sucks, man.
Mort's like it means like death in French, and he's like
No, I don't.
slugs.
This scene sucked, man. Why do you think it sucked?
I
It did
hate this
suck
scene so
because this
much.
guy, because it's like it's such like why it have to be done like this, like this
Because
this
it's
guy
a
with a
complete
really
facade. It's just
guy
like the
with a really-
dentist scene from
this-
It's just like the guy in South Africa. That it's exactly the same thing. It's just this facade, like they're just going through the motions, just doing euphemisms for diamonds. Basically, that's the whole point. They're just like they all know it's
Yeah, but
bullshit.
when
but
it's
they're
done
just,
so many times, just like I kind of
no, I liked it.
it's just
It's
like the same
but
thing over and over.
I liked it.
the
It's
guy's got
it's
like
almost
a really like really bad pun of a name as well. It's like and then and it's just like another sequence in these events that's just like, is this really necessary? And I don't really like the connotations it has behind it as well. Like everyone in this type of setting is like somehow shifty behind the scenes. And it's like not
yeah,
really.
of course,
And
they're all part of a diamond smuggling operation.
and then no, that's not what I mean. But like when he puts it in the garden, and then you get another like. There's too many people in this chain. Like it's just, I don't know. Like, and then later the chain of people just kind of gets forgotten. Like the smuggling. It's like okay,
Yeah, they do
and
kind of throw it out the window at some point.
and it just, I don't know. It doesn't really work well, and it takes a bit too much in this
What do you
film. I
mean? This is like an international diamond smuggling chain. Like, what do you? This, of course, and it's
yeah,
like,
but
you're
they don't
going
really.
across-
They
Yeah,
don't
well,
really
you could have
sell
had a
it, though.
smuggling chain in Goldfinger, but they just didn't bother because
They just
Yeah,
had
Yeah,
it
but
under
that's the
one
point.
person.
But this. You don't. I think this actually makes this. This actually strengthens
This
the plot
one's
of the
better
film.
than
This is the
Goldfinger, I
better
think.
part of the film because you have Bond trying to infiltrate a diamond smuggling ring. This is genuine espionage stuff. You know?
Yeah, it's half trying, you know.
Yeah, like the thing, what I reckon is like they couldn't get like a talented enough like actor or something to like Gert Frobe to like sell the whole thing being his scheme and him like importing stuff underhand. Like they get all these like random characters like and just try and have them make a chain like and yeah, that's it really.
What I will say, I think it does start to get a bit silly when you get onto the next, link in the chain.
Yeah.
But before we get there, I think it's worth discussing the whole.
Tried to cremate Bond, so that's
yeah. Now I mean, come on, man, you can't tell me that wasn't like scary as fuck, man.
Yeah, like I did think he wasn't
going
to make out of there.
The way that he gets out is just the fact that.
All right, yeah, when he gets out, it's stupid. But I think again, like. But even that is like, okay, it's stupid because that loudmouth American is just it's just okay. Now that was really like just what the fuck. But after that, Bond, he's like, oh, you give me the real money, I'll give you the real diamonds. You wouldn't burn 50 grand, and it's like, yeah, I think this is all like this is not bad. Don't worry, I'm going to be with you slaughtering Blofeld later on. But you have to give this stuff credit. This isn't bad.
I think they just tried to fill it out. I think like the runtime with a bit with all these characters.
The novel itself made about 40 minutes worth of the actual content in this film. There's just the rest of it feels like they're trying to pack it with other stuff. Like this could have been.
Yeah, but put it this way: would you have preferred this film if it had more Blofeld? I don't think so.
I would have preferred this film if it was shorter.
And I prefer.
Yeah, I agree, but I would. But if you're going to shorten this film, I would cut out all the Blofeld stuff long before I cut any of this out.
You got this international diamond smuggling chain that's like past the parcel for half the film, and it's just like.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think there is something interesting about it, and there's so much comedy happening as well during it, where it's all like this tongue-in-cheek. Oh yeah,
But should it be comedic if this film can't decide whether it wants to be like serious or not? It's like.
It's not serious at all. There's nothing serious about this film.
But the only thing there's a comedy in it as well when we're like doing like disposing of this body over here, and it's like, oh, okay, like and this film, like I don't know, it should really embrace. I don't know, it just doesn't really do either really well. I think.
No. Do you know what? I'm going to say it straight away. Yeah, this is not a serious film, and it never pretends to be. The only thing that you need to embrace that fact. That's the embracing that needs to happen, and you, Henry, as well. I see you.
It's not serious.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me when we were reviewing the Suicide Squad. I was taking it too seriously. I mean, I still don't like it, but I was taking it too seriously.
Film, but it's still bad. Like.
You like if you were gonna
yeah, okay, I'm not saying it's good, but it's not that bad.
If you were gonna be so lenient on this film, you shouldn't have been so harsh. By that logic, shouldn't have been so harsh on Casino Royale as well, because that had all this stupidity in it. But it was
Casino Royale was just plain dumb. It didn't even have basic story writing.
It was.
It didn't even have a beginning, middle, and an end.
Yeah, but at least it admitted it was a spoof and like. Yeah, like this doesn't even do that.
Like I said, this is Bond in the 70s. This I think you're treating this in the same breath as like On Majesty's Secret Service or Goldfinger. When it's more in the same breath. It's more in the same spirit of The Spy Who Loved Me or Moonraker or Octopussy. It's much more Roger Moore.
But what's the difference? The difference in time between those two films is much bigger than the one that just came beforehand.
And I think the other 70s Bond films are like more seriously and better handled as well. Like you get Live and Let Die right after this, and that's like I don't know.
I agree from that point of view. I think what I'm trying to say is that I'm trying to defend this film a little bit because it feels like a bit of a this is like a transitional period film. It's Bond transitioning from being serious to more comedy, and then later on, a couple of decades down the line, we'll come back to it where it starts transitioning from comedy to serious again, and it struggles there again. I think this film is just sort of the bridging point, and that's why it falls down a bit. This is why I don't think it's a great film. If I was rating this out of 10, I would give it probably a 5.
It's generous.
That's the thing. You reckon that's generous, but I think that's quite fair. I don't think it's terrible at all. But anyway,
we're moving on.
So yeah, they try and burn Bond alive, which I think is like
that's all.
Yeah, it's scary, man.
They got so many bad puns as well while they're
Yeah, but
Well, they're like,
the whole place is a bad
That's
place.
that's the whole shtick, man.
yeah, I know. I'm saying it's a good thing 'cause it's.
So then they go to now Willard White Tower, man.
I
Does
like the
Willard
White bit. But...
When I was younger, man, I like Willard White for me was just like a byword for Trump, man. It's like let's put Trump in this film, but not Trump. This is Willard White.
Willard White.
When I see the casino and stuff, that is basically how I imagine Trump, like before he got political.
Well, Willard White was based off of a real life guy. I forgot what his name was, but it wasn't Donald Trump.
No, it wouldn't have been Trump, but it would have been someone like that, you know.
Yeah, someone like that. But the guy who plays Willard White was actually an employee of that guy. And he was like, a little bit like worried about playing basically a spoof version of his boss, So.
Wow, that is interesting. But Bond goes in there, white tuxedo, which I think is a first since Goldfinger, if I'm not mistaken.
Could have sworn George Lazenby wore one like for 1 second. I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. Maybe no, it wasn't at the wedding. I don't know. Maybe I'm just imagining it.
Yeah, you are. I think this is a very nice tuxedo in this one. Goes in. There's like shady tree in his acorns. That's like the next link of the chain, and this is where it gets like this. This is where I grant. This is where it's like, okay, come on, man.
Yeah. Why do we need to see this? This guy's a stand-up guy.
Yeah, man.
You're about a lousy audience. It's just like nice.
Do you know what? When I was younger, I thought that this film this confused me. Again, because I thought.
Why did you like this film? Oh, I hear you slagging it off from like a young age, and you love this. Is your second
White
favorite
House
film.
when he was the president or something.
I thought it was the real White House. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is the White House, guys. And later when I was someone, I don't know, I just realized that it wasn't. It was like, okay.
One thing that Shady did actually say that was kind of funny was the fact that been trying to reach like Willard White, but he's not answering. He's playing Monopoly with real buildings, like.
Yeah.
By the way, that's like trying to find is it him that makes the joke? Oh, it's like trying to find a virgin on a maternity ward or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
it's
really
not unfunny. It's just like
no. It's funny, but it's like, why is this in a Bond film?
Yeah.
and by the way, that scenario would never play out in real life. It'd be like. Because this guy owns this company, right? So surely he'd have board meetings and stuff. So he would not. How could he get away with?
Can manage it,
Who would have board meetings?
Willard White, and his.
Bruce Wayne manages to avoid all his meetings.
I don't know. He doesn't really. I mean, you couldn't. I've never heard of anybody in real life being able to do that, and it's like, okay.
Well, exactly. They definitely exist. You just don't hear of them. Not every billionaire is like an Elon Musk.
That's the thing, Tom. The guy who owns the company doesn't always manage the company. That's what he pays a manager for. AKA Bert Saxby in this.
And anyway, it's not like he completely disappears. He conducts business on the phone, and he's got Bert as well. So
Bert Saxby.
Bert Warb. Yeah.
By the way, I find
Bert Saxby term is fired. He's like, the amount of poking fun at Americans in this film is hilarious.
It's funny because it's meant to market it to them as well. It's just like
but it's like subtly mocking them as well. I think a line like that, "Don't be fired." I reckon Americans love that, and then we're all just like, "Ha, you idiots!"
This film, I don't know. Willard White as a character is so irritating for me because if you think about it, he's he doesn't say a single line in this film in a normal tone of voice. He just shouts it, and it's like.
Well, that's kind of who he is, though.
Yeah, it's but basically Sheriff J.W. Pepper before Sheriff J.W. Pepper. Man. It's just in the long line of Bond American allies that are idiots, just for a bit of comedy,
Yeah, but they're not supposed to be allies are supposed to be useful, not some bum. I don't know, I don't know, it's just delivered very poorly because this guy's meant to be in a serious position, which much of the plot revolves around.
Yeah, but I don't think.
But he's just not, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, but just to basically replace this guy with Trump and imagine how he'd behave, this guy isn't exactly a secret agent or anything. He's literally a multi-millionaire or billionaire,
Yeah, I'll grant you that. Anyway. But anyway, so Shady's killed by Winton Kid, of course.
Yeah, which in a deleted scene was meant to be with a Wolf's pistol, which turned out to be a real gun.
Nice. I wish I'd have kept those deleted scenes, man, and then just get rid of fucking Blofeld, man. But anyway, then we go and meet Bond goes and meets Plenty O'Toole.
Plenty O'Toole is a terrible character. she slows the plot down so much, and it's just she's so useless. And like later on, because of a deleted scene, she like messes up the plot as well a little bit, and like she could have
Yeah,
like
we all know
she
this one.
should not could she should have been like taken out of the film. Like there was no
Yeah.
reason for her at all.
Well,
Most unnecessary character ever, and we all know why she's there.
yeah,
But
yeah, it's
like,
literally,
come on,
literally
like,
in the name.
yeah. It's
I mean,
just like it's just embarrassing, man.
it does follow
This is the sort of stuff which is why Bond has so many parodies. You get rid of her, you completely like delete that character from the film. You're already making the film just better, you know. I mean, it's just
And the thing
stupid.
is, this was like, you know, made her in this film also made it a bit difficult because Sean, for some reason, decides to date both her and Jill St. John at the same time during the production of this film, which went, you know, about as well as you could imagine when they both found out.
What?
So this started a decades-long feud between the two, and you know, yeah,
I did not know that at all.
Are you sure about that?
yeah. Well, this is according to IMDb trivia, so it must be real.
Wow. Well, anyway, either way, you do get this great line though. He goes, "Oh, you've caught me with more than my hands up." I thought that was very funny.
That's quite funny. The dialogue, I think they had a different dialogue writer in this film as well, and the film
You
just
think?
and I don't know, it feels a bit more like witty in certain places as well, but like at the same time, while it's more like that, I think I don't know, with the plot and stuff and some of the characters involved, like it's a bit like not believable. Like if you had really like I don't know, I don't know, I don't want to say it, but like good, better actors in in these positions, like saying stuff like this, you believe it a bit more. But I don't know, something about the characters and the delivery and like how stuff is like executed just doesn't.
I've got one word for you, Tom.
Doesn't. It's just
American.
poor. It's poor. Like I'm not even hiding.
Americans.
I don't care if it's American. Like that's no excuse to make a bad Bond.
Americans
film. Like,
in a Bond film, in a 70s Bond film. What are you expecting, mate?
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is the
Whatever.
thing.
I'm sure they
the
like
subtlety
deliberately
definitely goes out the window.
cast these guys and they deliberately give them lines just to contrast them to like the elite, superior, funnier Bond. You know.
Well, I'll stick with that then, if that's the only way we're gonna make sense of it. But
Anyway, anyway, Bond goes to meet Tiffany again, and then like
yeah, because she's
Tanya Toole's drowned in her pool. She's like, "What's my wig doing in the pool?" And it's like, "Oh no, that's someone."
yeah, like the tone shifts like in 1 millisecond. It's like, oh my wig's in the pool. And it's like just a dead person there. It's like, and then it's just like really deep for like the next moment. It's like, okay.
The thing is as well, because like the camera pans like, and it's like, oh, she's actually tied to. You think it'd be like a block of concrete, like in classic American
concrete shoes, yeah.
Yeah. It's just literally like a plank of wood or something. Like I don't know why.
Do you know what? In the filming of this thing,
they actually drowned her.
She nearly drowned actually. Like
yeah,
when there was
because
what they didn't know is like the pool was like a bit uneven at the bottom. So like when they put her at one end with the thing, like it started slowly sliding down, and the directors didn't know about it. So like she was like low key like starting like she would have drowned eventually, and then like they only managed to get her out in time and before I realized
dive in and save her.
Well, we don't know, but what he does do is slap a woman when Tiffany starts questioning him. So yeah.
Sean Connery back again,
Sean
man. Just yeah, literally, man.
It must have been in his contract stipulated it has to slap at least one woman, you know.
That guy's out of control, man. Well, anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bond goes to the circus, not for the last time, ladies and gentlemen. But I think this is it is what it is. It's Bond in a circus. I mean, really, that kind of says it all. Tiffany has to go and like retrieve the diamonds. Goes to this water balloon stuff.
Yeah.
There's some comedy here. It's nothing that special.
Yeah, she's standing next to Harry Potter, you know.
You do, yeah, that's right. You do have like 40, 50 years earlier, you have the Putin meme, you know, like the stretched out Putin dance, man. Like,
yeah, these two agents, just like, you know, like in a mirror, you know, like one of the funny mirrors at a circus, you know.
I mean, it's literally the Putin meme, man.
It's so like
you have like a pretty
racist. We're now
like
for mentioning it this year.
Yeah, you have a pretty racist guerrilla sort of.
That is, yeah, this is literally the most
Like
racist thing I've ever seen. Like, what the fuck? Like, probably like Birth of a Nation is less racist than this. They turn a black lady into
Having
a
said
gorilla.
that probably was going on in America back then. Would not surprise me at all if that was a real act.
And we got
they
some
just like, oh yeah,
dodgy,
let's
like,
This is the thing. I saw an image of this from this film, like the actual gorilla like costume. I'm pretty sure it's the same one as an Octopussy. I just reused the prop.
probably.
interesting.
But like,
But this is
Both
this is
materially linked.
one of the most racist things ever captured on film. Yeah.
and they got like a dodgy German scientist as well, explain.
Yeah, this guy, man.
It says,
Yeah,
always a danger.
This is where they got the inspiration from for the Spectre scientist in the No Time to Die, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to emulate
That's exactly what the memory invoked for me as well. Anyway, so yeah, plenty drowned in Tiffany's pool. We covered that. Okay, so they go and find the diamonds. Basically, they go and Tiffany goes and hands it off or into some airport suitcase thing. It ends up in the back of a van. Bond sneaks onto the back of this van.
Yeah.
Long story short, he sees. Oh yeah, he goes. So he infiltrates basically this secret location, this secret like where they're assembling.
Lab, yeah.
This is where it does get stupid. This is like the plot culmination of like this whole diamond smuggling thing, which is quite interesting for me at least up until now, because then you realize, oh, it's all going onto this satellite, which is being
it
sent
has
and
to
becoming
be
space.
diamonds, you know, like they can just cut like glass or something like that.
Fucking ridiculous, man. But you do have this like another sort of German scientist sort of thing going on here.
Nuts.
Yeah, Dr. Metz.
He's so annoying in this film, man. Why couldn't they just cut? Because it
also,
recurs later on. It's like he's trying to be a good guy, but it's just like, just cut him out as well. That would have helped.
Shout to the second Bond cameo of Ed Bishop just randomly here as Klaus Hergesheimer.
Oh yeah,
Which
that,
was
that plays the guy who plays Captain Blue.
Ed Bishop.
His voice.
Yeah, and he's also Command Stroker in UFO. The funny thing is as well, he what was it? It was a joke between I think Tom Mankiewicz, who like wrote the film or the screenplay, because Guy Hamilton couldn't remember. Whenever he couldn't remember who someone was, he'd call him Hergesheimer. So that's why they made this character and named him that. So
that's funny.
It's quite funny the bit where like James Bond blags his way in, and then like he leaves, and the real guy comes in, and there's like they're all like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, it's just like rotation, like it's some sort of like sitcom, you know, like the way he pops.
Yeah, it literally is like it goes out one door and the other one opens up. It's like stage play, man.
I think Doctor Metz. I think he's like a useful idiot who makes up with like for like poor writing for the plot. It's like, oh yeah, we just happen to have this genius who can make this ridiculous satellite work, and we can fool him into thinking it's a good thing.
Right?
And it's like, yeah,
they do. You know, now you mention it, they did pretty much copy and paste him into No Time to Die, didn't they?
Yeah, more or less, either intentionally or not.
Now, when did the moon landing happen? Remind me.
69.
Supposedly.
Yeah. Do you know what? Like when that thing happens.
Why was this in the film? Like.
Now this is the thing. Like, okay, now like completely whatever. Like, if you're into your conspiracy theories or not, whatever. This is the first Bond film after the moon landing, and
I always thought this like
spawned in all bit about the moon landing being on like a fake stage.
I always thought as a kid, and I never had anything to get rid of this theory, like that this was where all the fake moon landing theories spawned from. Like they're just like
this is the original invention.
Yeah, we can like film it. This guy's film it. So what if the government filmed it or something like that? And then it's like. It's so unnecessary. It's like, what profit is there to do this?
Well, a little bit of trivia about the moon landing. Stanley Kubrick was actually such a perfectionist when they made him fake the moon landing. They actually made him. He told them to film it on set, so you know, at location.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not going to go into it today, but there is a lot of. You can do your own research. Just Google Stanley Kubrick moon landing, The Shining, Eyes Wide Shut. You know, into the rabbit hole, man.
Yeah, but by the way, the Earth is flat. And,
but the moon, so we have this like moon landing stuff happening, predictive programming. Anyway, then we get the very infamous moon buggy chase.
Yeah, the less said about this, the better, man.
It's just like
we could just.
It is really goofy and like It's a
intentionally-
bit boring as well. Like there's some generic police cars that just kind of follow it out, and it's so unbelievable that these couldn't catch up to the thing as well. And it's
Well,
like,
look at the terrain. I mean, this thing is built for this kind of terrain. To be fair, you know.
yeah, but other than that, it's like
with like a top speed of like 15 miles an hour, you know.
yeah, literally.
This even Roger Moore would struggle pulling this off, I believe. But anyway,
should have been Dalton, you know.
And it
then
goes
you
on for
immediately
so
get
long
onto
as
another
well.
chase, a much better car chase, I think, which is in Las Vegas.
The guy who's
but-
like Sheriff J.W. Pepper's like cousin or something.
Yeah.
Sheriff.
Well, his other cousin, because he's already got a cousin. But this is quite a good car chase. Apart from the fact you can see literally half of America is lined up on the streets, like watching this being filmed, and it just completely takes me out of it. There's you know, because they obviously probably filmed this at like 4 a.m. or something, right? So the streets are clear, and then you've just got like all these people literally lining the streets, watching this James Bond film being, like, you know, produced in, you know, on location. It just takes you out of it so much. Just like there's just like hundreds of people just looking on. Like, why would that? It just really takes me out of it. It just ruins it.
Well, there's a little tidbit about this. Guy Hamilton hated like massive American cars, so he tried to destroy as many as possible during this film. So,
wow.
Fair
They
enough.
have like a creative idea that's just kind of executed poorly, I think, in this is when they like go into a car park and have a chase of it there, and it's like, I don't know, the way it's shot, like there's one shot where it's just like on the whole car park for like way too long, and it just makes the thing look really.
Yeah, but they reused that shot as well. Not the actual footage, but the same shot, like angle and everything. It's just like it's like a very slow chase. I feel it's not.
Yeah. Well, when you think of Bond car chases, that's probably like one of the last things you'd ever think of. It's
Well,
like,
to be fair, these would last for more than 30 seconds, like a Thunderball, you know.
yeah, true.
They do it is somewhat memorable because they do pull off a pretty good stunt as well.
It's a shame that they kind of stuffed it though, because like they filmed him going in one way into like this, you know, for those who haven't seen it, he drives a car like onto a ramp and then balances it sideways almost, goes through like a dead end, like whatever.
Goes through an alleyway, and then like somehow some like the biggest movie mistake ever, like
because they filmed it the wrong way on the other side.
How do you do that? How do you make a cock up of that scale?
They're just like,
and they even try and like somehow show it happening. There's like a shot where it goes from like Tiffany to Bond, and it's just like,
how though?
Yeah,
it's
anyway.
just also, there's like they have such contempt for the intelligence of the audience. It's like, this could happen in the middle of an alleyway. Don't question it, guys.
Sir Sean Connery, actually, he had such a good time like filming in Las Vegas apparently, because he like, you know, he basically
loves
did
Las Vegas.
everything you could possibly do like there. He played loads of golf, you know, he was gambling. In fact, there was a scene which they meant to film which got delayed because he won so much of the slot machine he had to like spend actual time collecting his winnings. So
that's in big contrast to George Lazenby's luck in the casino, wasn't it?
True.
Poor bloke. Well, anyway, so anyway, so then Bond basically Bond and Tiffany, they get to the White House, and Felix Leiter is there. He's trying to cover up because he doesn't want to, like, you know, wrongly accuse Willard White, whatever. So Bond goes and he takes matters into his own hands. He ascends the White House. This gave me vertigo, man. This gives you like fear of heights, man, because it's so well shot. How he's like out there, and you have this backdrop of Las Vegas there, and it's like, whoa, like that really looks good, man. They filmed that really well, like very clever how they did that.
Because like he's using his Python gun as well, right? Which like I would not trust. Like the first shot where it goes into concrete, it's like barely in there, you know. But like in the original script, he would have said like muttered under his breath, you know, like, Q, if I fall, I'll kill you, you know. Which it's a shame they took that out of the film, but
so then basically he climbs up into some office which has a toilet roll there as well.
Which I was going to use that gap as an opportunity to introduce license quiz.
Let's do it.
I want to play a game.
Want to play a game?
I'd like to remind everyone of the scores. So far, Tom has won the first 4. James won the last 2. So this is the 7th one of the 7-question quiz for a 007. Anyway, so question 1: what was the budget of this film?
I'm really lost.
12 million.
I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say. I'm not sure between 15 and 20. I'll say 15.
James, you were close. It was still quite far off there. It was 7.2 million. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah.
Well,
This
that's
is
so weird. Like usually with franchises, you get like the
goes
budget
more,
always ascends as like a rule generally. This is like all over the place, man.
Yeah.
But it makes the quiz a lot better, to be fair.
Yeah, true. But this is like this box office just depresses me. How much do you think it made at the box office? I'll give you a hint. And On the Manchester Secret Service made 82 million.
I reckon this raked in because of American audience. I'm gonna go 100 and how much was what's the best so far?
The
Goldfinger,
most
right?
so far, I think, was Thunderball. It
Thunderball.
was 141 million.
I'm
Got that-
gonna
got
go
that as well.
150.
I'm gonna say 100 and maybe 110, 120, because this is like, I don't think it. Maybe 100. I don't know, 100. I'll say 115 because this is like 15, not 50. Like, because this film, like, I don't feel like it did as well as because it had like a lot of inconsistency and stuff going from George Lazenby and then bringing Sean Connery. So I think that might have hurt it a little bit, but
Final
we'll see.
answers, both of you.
Yep.
Tom, you are almost on the dot there. It was 116 million.
Oh,
And also,
nice.
James, if that was true, if it was 150 million, it'd be the highest grossing Bond film of all time. So, I mean, by this point.
For the point, yeah. Well, well, okay, fine. One all.
Okay. Now, how much was Sean paid for this film?
I think I remember this. It is minuscule compared to Daniel Craig still, which makes the whole payment thing really stupid anyway.
No, this was unheard of for the time. Like this.
Yeah, I know for the time, but still, when you look at it without inflation, I think it was 1.5 million. I'm not sure.
James?
Is Tom spot on there, or is it worth me guessing?
You can guess. You can guess.
Obscene for the time. Well, shit. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go.
This is money in there.
Well, the budget was 7.2 million. I'm gonna go 1 million.
Are you going to change your answers even
Nope.
slightly?
Well, you want us to, so we can. You can have a winner.
Yeah, basically.
1.1.
Oh, come on, you can't say that.
Well,
I'm
you know, fine. Because you both got the equal distance between to the right answer.
So he was paid what, 1.25?
1.25. But in order to actually, break the draw, how much is that in today's money?
Oh my gosh. Gonna say
10 million.
11.5 million. I know.
James, it was 9.2. So.
Oh no.
Oosh.
Yeah. Well, sorry to disappoint you there, Tom.
Go on then.
Anyway, how many gangsters were in Bond's room?
3. No.
5.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna say 4.
Tom, you're right. It was 4.
Yes.
Right. How many wins do you need to win that dog that Tiffany won?
24.
I said it first. Come on, man.
No, I said it first. What are you on about?
We have this literally recorded, so we can stop it now, listen to it back, and find out. All right.
All right. Yeah, ref is back from VAR, and I have to say it was James who said it first.
It's not. I'm putting that down to internet because on
Yeah,
my end it
You
was.
snooze, you lose. Anyway, you can still win it. Don't mind me. Ref is incompetent. I dropped my pen. Right. Say about that what you will. Anyway, so
So what's it now? 2-2 or 3-2?
It's 3-2 to you at the moment. You can get the prestigious title of winning this if you win.
Go on.
How many times during the scene with Klaus Hergesheimer in that whole bit in the lab, how many times did they say the word radiation shield?
You
3.
mean just him or Sean Connery as well?
Well, in total. And James already got it spot on, so I'm sorry.
Oosh, come on, lads.
This last one for Pride.
I don't care.
How many successful assassinations did Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd pull off?
3. 4, I don't know.
Yeah,
Tom, what's
I'm
your
gonna
final
go
answer?
4. I'm gonna go 4 then.
Tom got his final answer as 4 first.
Alright.
Was because they also blew up the guys in the helicopter. Remember? So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So who were they? A shady
First
egg.
one, the dentist bloke. Second, people in the helicopter. Then the little old lady. And
That's 5, you dick.
Huh?
That's 5 then, isn't it?
No, because of Shady Tree.
Yeah. So Shady Tree, the woman, the 2 blokes in the helicopter, and the dentist.
No, I only count. No, I didn't say people. I said assassinations. So that counts as one assassination.
Or whatever. I won anyway, so
I am very careful with my wording when it comes to
mate,
this.
this is like the ultimate comeback, man. It was 4-0. I was 4-0 down, and it's 4-3 now. 4 all if you include.
Well, to be
Casino
fair,
Royale.
it's times
Yeah,
up.
well, if it doesn't matter, then stop mentioning Casino Royale.
Yeah, well, true. Anyway,
I'm just
so
just throwing it
enjoy that for what it is.
Okay. So now we're reunited with Blofeld. So Henry, I'll let you. I know you've been looking forward to this one, so go ahead.
Fuck Charles Gray. I'm just saying.
Charles Gray is shit, bruv. Like, why was And he got this role off the back of supposedly a really great, memorable performance in You Only Live Twice, which was also like, he's. I don't know if he's even less useless as. I think you can't be more useless than Henderson. The only useful thing he does is die, and Blofeld. But why is he Blofeld? He's so bad. He's so bad. There's nothing good. He's just like a joke. Like he's like Austin Powers Blofeld equivalent, Doctor Evil, right?
Doctor Evil.
Doctor Evil is above Blofeld, man, in terms of seriousness. Charles Gray
Yeah,
Blofeld
true.
is a
At least
complete
Doctor
joke.
Evil is mini me.
At least Doctor Evil was bald.
Yeah, at least they got
At least
that
he had a
right.
scar, man. Like he had something. Like Charles Gray's rubbish, man. He's just
They should have
way
put
too
Charles
posh.
Gray as Doctor Evil.
There's nothing. He's like just like in terms of the camp. I mean, he literally dresses in drag laser. So I'm not really.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a stretch to say he's like a gay Blofeld, even.
Well,
Well, it's just like I just don't. I feel like if you told me there was a deleted scene where like his clones are shagging each other, then I would not be surprised. This is what this film is. This is what Charles Gray Blofeld means to me. It's just like terrible.
Well,
Terrible.
I mean,
there's nothing scary. This is meant to be Bond's nemesis. They're stood in a
this
ring
is the guy who
together.
killed
This
his
should
wife,
mean
like.
something. This should mean there should be some tension. There should be some some mutual respect,
fair,
some
at
like
least-
anger, some hatred between them. They're like they should be like wanting to fight. You feel like if they did have a fight, it would be a good fight. There would be something. There's some stakes in place. This is just like two old friends meeting up and having a chat. After one of them cheating on the other's wife or something.
The single thing I will give this scene is the fact that Sean Connery's reaction was all right. In fact, he was just like, Blofeld, like you're real, like he's back and there's 2 of them. But this scene just, I don't know. Nothing.
And it ties up another stupid plot point, which is the whole cloning thing, which is completely unnecessary and just a time filler in the beginning.
There was no point to that being
like trash plot point, which isn't even a plot point.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is just embarrassing.
Go in this lift which isn't trapped as well.
What is cool though is you do get a bit of a fake out sort of thing where Bond he doesn't know which one to kill, and then he kicks the cat, and then kills one of the Blofelds, which is quite satisfying to see until you realise, there's still one of the annoying cunts alive, and it's just it happens to be the Python gun, so he can't reload and shoot.
Yeah, obviously.
And the gun wasn't took from him anyway. But Blofeld lets him stroll in with it, armed.
The thing is that I find funny is like
none of this makes sense. None of this is
like
good.
I like to imagine that he actually killed the real Blofeld. So like the other guy who's just basically now been promoted from goon to top of the company.
He's frauded his way to the top.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
Bond, why wasn't Bond armed? Why didn't Bond have a gun on him? No one took him off. No one took anything off him. No one searched him. He could have had any of Q's gadgets. He had a mousetrap earlier on him, for fuck's sake. And he doesn't have something to just bang, bang. Just put us out of our misery. But no. We have to suffer through more of Charles Gray's Blofeld.
Yeah, and he's got his little digital, voice thing device.
You've got as well, like, Blofeld going, science is not my strong point. Oh yeah, that's why you had like a whole like biological warfare chemical lab in your previous film. And before that, you're like on the brink of starting World War III through the space race. Fuck you, Charles Gray, man.
Yeah, exactly. He's just he's not even acting, he's just being himself.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about. I don't know why Charles Gray is so fondly remembered, or like he's rubbish. He's like, I'm trying to think of a Batman equivalent.
Egghead.
Like Tommy Lee Jones is Two-Face,
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's at least
Tommy Lee Jones is like a relatively respected actor. Oh, I mean Charles Gray like half has the nickname Charles a Jump to the Left, because of that one random film. Do you remember, Tom?
Yeah, he's in all these pointless roles in which he doesn't really contribute much, and like he's in Cromwell as well, and he's like this random Parliament.
Yeah, everyone's in Cromwell, man.
Yeah, and then like,
literally, yeah.
Timothy Dalton's in it. The guy who's like Drax is in it.
Alec Guinness.
Yeah, everyone's in that.
It's pretty cool. Well, anyway, I need to rewatch that. But anyway,
yeah.
So
then he gets.
Yeah. So Time's Up Forever and You and the Twice are basically his best known films, and the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Henderson, man. That's like.
I just don't know why he got to play Blofeld, especially when you've had Donald Pleasance, a very well respected, very refined, genuinely intimidating, actor, like fantastic actor for his time. You had him as Blofeld. Then you went to Telly Savalas, equally like very competent, but like a different take on Blofeld, where he's charming and he's like a bit suave and sophisticated, but he's also like threatening. Holds his own. Charles Gray offers absolutely nothing. It's like, I don't know why. You know who it is, Henry? It's Pat Hingle as
yeah, you're right.
Commissioner
You're
Gordon.
Right.
I think he could be. I think he could be the worst villain iteration in any Bond film. Like he's a contender, definitely. Like
you know what?
Yeah, he's.
Right.
You know what? I think you're
terrible.
Right. I can't think there's a worse Bond
even Dominic Green does more than him.
Dominic Green isn't even that bad.
Yeah, I know. I know, but I'm just using an example of a generally hated Bond.
I think this is possibly the worst Bond villain of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, who else is really bad?
Aris Christatos.
That
guy from Living Daylights, that general, forgot his name.
Mr. Koskov himself.
Yeah, and
that's the problem though. It's always like the ones who don't have like a horrible facial disfigurement, where they're like.
But this is Blofeld, man. This is meant to be Blofeld. For fuck's sake. No, this is so bad, man. This whole film is like a letter of insult to like George Lane. All the actors from On Her Majesty's Secret Service, like all they need now is like I don't know, they just do everything badly in comparison. But like, from here on out, I mean, they go. So Bond gets knocked out by some knockout gas. Wint and Kidd take him. They try another elaborate way of
to kill him when Blofeld could have just shot him.
Yeah, literally, this is stupid.
He has him at gunpoint.
They put him in some. It is quite an interesting way of killing someone, though. And they bury him alive, sort of thing, in this pipeline, which he escapes anyway with his little rat friend.
Yeah. Yeah, not the
they take. By the way, they transport Bond to the pipeline via the Batcave once again, but the '60s Batcave. You notice that, Henry, when like the rock opens up, they drive out literally straight out of Batman '66. He meets a rat. Anyway, so then
then they fool Blofeld with like this random.
Yeah, that's right. Bond pretends to be Bert Saxby,
Yeah,
and they're wearing really short. I'm honest, they're really wearing really short ties for some reason. I don't know if that was a fashion thing back then, but the ties are like noticeably short.
There's a thing as well with the scene where he's pretending to be Bert, because like he's like, you should pass yourself this time, Q, because like. And then Q like goes on. He references, well, maybe it's just the grandchildren, which actually, which this is something I never knew. I think there's like a spin-off cartoon series of James Bond Jr., which actually features Q's grandson, who's unironically called IQ. So
nice. That's good.
Yeah.
So then Bond goes up to and Blofeld's a complete idiot, man. He's like,
he gives away the plot,
we should move Willard White, and he goes, oh no, he's perfectly fine in his summer house, which you can find at this address here, and
he gives like the coordinates of it.
There's a good taxi service you can go. Put in a good word for me. You'll be all right, mate. Like gives him directions there, basically. Fucking idiot.
Yeah, what retail? And then, do you know what? Like when they go there to actually, there's a line that is repeated in the space of 5 minutes, like 3 times, and it's like, "Tell Maxwell to hit the penthouse," is like something that Felix keeps saying to this random guy. He says it in the voice changing thing, and then when Bond goes up, he says it, and then later when Bert Saxby shows up, tries shooting them, that's what he says right before he gets shot at, and like, it just. Why? It's just so baffling why they'd include such a random, meaningless line. Like, did Felix Leiter, the actor, have a quota from his agent for how many lines he's supposed to get, and then they
maybe it
just
was a
throw
bet or
through it?
something.
I don't know. It's stupid and it's weird. And I always notice it. This. Yeah, and the whole scene in this penthouse is stupid.
Yeah,
anyway.
because he meets
this guy's
Bambi
meant to be
and
like
Thumper.
a multi-billionaire, and this place looks like shit. Like, who designed this?
And his security is Bambi and Thumper, like these. I don't know if they're lesbians, but
it's I don't know.
Very weird, strange, badly choreographed fight between these.
Sure, this is the thing. Bond is supposedly meant to, he fights goons for breakfast, and he can't deal with these two.
This is hard to watch. To watch. It's embarrassing. Like the Thumper, she's like trying to kick him and then sort of does this miss, and then she's like on the ground, like twitching and shit. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching?
Don't know, man. To be fair, must be boring.
And then okay, he gets his ass kicked by them, and then gets them in the pool, and then suddenly he's like, oh yeah, here we are, bang, oh yeah, they're still not talking, oh well, this, and they're just like flapping about, it's just
Bond's just a better swimmer than they are, more it seems like, but it is pointless and is dumb, and then
so they go and rescue Willard White.
Yeah.
Who survives an assassination attempt, and then we get the
Bert's most feeble assassination attempt ever.
And they just chew this guy up.
I think that's quite like a Sigma line in a way. It's like tell him he's fired or something like that. But I know the way it's delivered is so comical, and I don't know.
I forgot we need to nominate a Sigma line for this. I haven't found a single. Henry, I hope you've got something.
Yeah, I can't really say I do.
We'll get to it anyway. Q hacks the. So we get back to Las Vegas. This is great. This is probably the best part of the film. Q in this element, man. He's hacking these slot machines.
He's bleeding out the casino, man.
It's
so weird.
I've been itching to try this out, and you just you can imagine Q making this stuff and just
it's like a gambler's dream, man. According to Desmond Llewellyn, this is the one Bond gadget he wishes actually worked.
Unsurprised.
And Tiffany shows up and she's trying to get info from him, and he doesn't even know who she is. He doesn't know her from a bar of soap. And it's so funny. He just I don't know. He just feels the need to flex on the most common stranger ever who just talks to him basically. And it's check out this
all the time. So
it is funny. I don't know. It feels like he's really. I don't know. He is on holiday here. He's I don't know, he's in Vegas
of course, he's having a great time, man.
It's funny,
well, James, you say this is your favourite, one of the best parts of the film. It's literally the next, in the middle of him talking still, you get Blofeld and Drag walking by. It's just they really, who thought of this?
Blofeld
probably Charles Gray. I have a funny feeling this is he came
lost.
Up
No, they all played roulette at one point, and he lost, and that was what they had to do.
But I bet he didn't complain.
They're all doing a bingo checklist of
But he's literally in drag one film after On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I can't help but think whenever I look at Blofeld in this film, but this is the guy who was played by Telly Savalas and was
Actually,
had a really credible plot and it was like really well acted and everything. And then this one's like,
well, when it comes to doing drag and all that, he was wearing red lipstick, which is actually a tribute possibly to someone else who wore red lipstick, red makeup in another film. Do you remember The Dark Knight, James?
Fuck's sake, I was wondering where you're
Sneaking
going
a
with
Heath tribute
Yeah.
joke every time.
Well, yeah, we get Blofeld in drag. I think
this comes
The
at a part of the
lowest point
film.
of Bond ever.
Yeah, this comes at a part where like the film is like nearing its end and there's like no climax. You don't feel any suspense.
There's
at
no
all.
need for that either. Why?
And it's like she gets
She did that
kidnapped.
for
She gets
Anyway.
kidnapped in the most embarrassing, weird, awkward way possible, and it's like, okay, are we supposed to feel tension at this point? And
and then you get this random like "You Only Live Twice" rocket remix thing going on, like some hijack midair, whatever.
worst.
It's just like you just got the music like literally like some and it
The
fries,
worst
and then
effects
it's like the
seen in my life.
space laser. It's just this really shit like when you think of space laser and Bond, you think of the one from Die Another Day, and it's like that's what everyone hates on that film for. We'll get to that one day. But for this, I forgot there's a space laser in here made of diamonds. Because that's really
Light
needs to happen.
refraction, James. If you're a physicist, you would know, which is bullshit. But
Right, and then and anyway, we see it fry North Dakota, right? Some like military base there. Then we see it fry a submarine. Okay.
Yeah, but the worst when they like blow up a place in Red China back when they acknowledged maybe there were two. Like you had that one Chinese guy's like reaction, and then before everything blows up, you've got people like green screen fire on them running.
yeah, it's like something out of a bad I don't know,
This is
like
something out of Casino Royale '67.
no, like because even that had like fairly good effects when it had to do them, but like
I don't know. Did we see the same films on?
I don't know, but this one, like when I
Like
see that
green
one
screen them,
that one shot of that guy walking around with like the terrible like fire on him is just like.
There are multiple
And
ones.
I'd feel so shortchanged if I went to the cinema after like a few good films had come out and like you just see these crappy like backyard explosions being put on like green screens and stuff, and it's like
so I am going to say like they did that was occurring in You Only Live Twice and Her Majesty's Secret Service as well. You can't say they weren't.
Well, to be fair,
not really. Like
there was. Did you see the volcano exploding?
That's
or
the one
Pitch Gloria.
exception.
It was
but that
so
was like
obviously
that was like
fake,
for
but
a
you give it a pass
millisecond,
because
though,
it's a
like-
good film. This is more
not
obvious.
really, because
Yeah, but
that's
that's for like a millisecond though, and
I
also
know.
like
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, this is like a continuous thing throughout.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It was so bad. Which is a shame because the music's quite good, actually, I think. The music in this film's quite good, I must say. I think the music's okay.
It's
They had,
all
they had
right.
a pretty bad rendition of the Bond 007 theme, I think. It's like,
No,
like
it feels okay.
comical,
We will let's skip through. Let's just get through this. So
Yes,
we've got
yeah.
we get to the oil rig, which I think is a cool set.
No, it's got no. I don't like this because it's like it literally looks like a Batman '66 set. They're all wearing like brightly colored, orange, helmets, orange, practically,
Yeah, but it's Bond on an oil rig, man. I mean, yeah, it could have been done a bit cooler, but like I
Just give
think
them
I think Bond on an oil rig is always going to be like it is.
No,
quite...
no.
It's these
Do you know
stupid
what?
outfits though, and these guards are brain dead as well. Like they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
A
Well, they're
question
just
I have-
following orders from the most brain dead villain we've ever seen
Yeah,
as
well,
well.
it follows.
question I have about this though is like why is Bond even there? He doesn't even need to be there. Like
He's
they
to
could
switch
just
up
they
tapes,
could all they could
to
do
return
is
to videotapes.
yeah, but they don't need to do that. Like there's that tape is like some pointless music substitute. There's no like they could literally just bomb that place and that's it until like they just stop doing
It's too
that.
risky, you
That's
could
literally
blow up
it.
Kansas.
Yeah, and then Blofeld is so retarded. So like he's like, ugh, so if we blow up Kansas, no one will hear about it. That's quite funny. But like
That is quite
he's
funny,
like, but like then he goes and picks the most furthest target, which he has to wait all the like way for till the
let's
world.
just wipe off LA from the map, like.
And then like in theory, that's the reason why he fails because he picks the furthest possible target from where he is. The satellite is pointing at, and then it's like, did you have to do that? And then the way the thing like this fight sets off is Bond lets this weather balloon off, and then he manages to stop the guards shooting at it by just
Yeah, he just pushes the guy.
and then that's it. And it's like okay.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
so
but
dumb.
what I think cool, Bond, his entrance is pretty cool in like that ball. I thought that was like weird but cool.
Yeah, but and do you know what? He gets thrown in the brig, and it's like you can easily escape it, and it's like,
Yeah, literally, this is like a joke, man.
are you? It's so retarded in so many
And
ways.
this is where again we get like the Bond girl trope of just being like a bit, Tiffany Case is there in the bikini, and it's like,
Yeah, she falls apart.
This
At
is
this
the funny
part of the
thing.
film.
yeah, her
'cause,
character
like,
completely falls apart.
Blofeld like insults her intelligence. Like, oh yeah, nice cheeks too. Shame they're not brains. When Jill St. John had apparently a registered IQ of 162, so it must be a
Yes.
genius or something.
No shit. Wow. And obviously a lot higher IQ than Blofeld. Blofeld's talking a lot of shit for someone with his like level of competence in this film. He I mean, it is quite funny. He's like, first of all, he goes, although it's weird because he's like, oh, your pissful little island hasn't even been threatened. You sure you're not from that same pitiful little island, or are you pretending to be Swiss now? What is going on with you?
That's
Was
a good
your
point, actually.
oh yeah, was your plastic surgery also voice surgery and also location surgery? I don't think so.
He
Man.
definitely like
Fuck Charles
misses-
Gray, man.
He
Once
just
again,
hates. I don't know. Like
he mocks Kansas, which we can all get behind. It's funny. He's like he makes it's interesting what he says about New York, because obviously New York back then was like very it was before it went through the transformation that it did, and it's interesting how that aged quite well actually, his comment on New York. But yeah, he sends Bond to the brig.
and
Bond
like
easily escapes, of
for some
course.
reason, like Tiffany Case like switches sides. Like we don't see a reason or like get any kind of
That's
inclination.
because she gets kidnapped and she's probably trying to like buy
Yeah,
some
but
time to get
she
out.
sees Bond. I mean, to be fair, if you're like you've got Charles Gray to be the guy who you're like who's your captor,
She was just
whereas
waiting to be
Sean
rescued,
Connery
I think.
turns up.
She got I mean probably,
What
but
I
like
will say, because we get the 007 theme back, which is cool. We have what I like about this, probably the only time in film history where you have someone pick up a gun for the first time, and it's an accurate result of what would happen when someone does that.
Yeah, she has
And
no idea what's
that has to be praised, because the amount of times you see the most recent example I have in my head is Huey in The Boys. He picks up a gun for the first time, knows
He's
exactly
fucking
what's.
pro,
He's fine. He's a pro. Yeah.
but she like
He's like
she's
he's like a
supposed
commando, but she picks up the gun like a rifle.
Yeah,
an
she
automatic
can't
rifle,
account for
and
recoil or the noise.
yeah, the recoil, the noise, and throws. That is exactly what would happen if an average person picked up a gun like that.
but she's
And
not very
I respect the realism of that. I respect
thing
that.
Yeah,
is that she's
it's
not
meant to be a
really
joke, but they somehow made it good
she's not
unintentionally.
like she's not an average person though. Her character is supposed to be like
Yeah, but it's not like
underworld.
she handles MP40s every day, is it?
She's just
Uh,
like a pretty low level smuggler, That's she's
Okay.
the common person effectively.
And even if you're proficient with pistols, it's not like you're going to be now to use a machine gun, is it?
And
Tom, would you like
going on
to
from
comment upon Blofeld's method of
yeah.
escape here?
I got
Yeah.
it's
Is
one
it-
thing just before that. It's like when she
So
falls
Yanni
into
is
the
moral.
when she goes into she falls off the rig, right? And that's a big fall like into unbroken water probably. Like yeah,
Yeah, but
how
it's
do
the
I
ocean, right? Surely it's
how
always being broken.
but no, like when you hit the water like that, when nothing's broken the surface, that's like concrete. Like how
I
did
thought
they
it's for
like
still
get
pools though. That only is a thing.
Yeah, Bond dives into it later as well.
No,
I mean,
but
yeah,
like
that is
Well,
big
also,
but the
drop.
way
it's not-
he
Bond
dies
is not meant to
like
always be super realistic, let's be honest.
whatever. Like I'm just wondering what she does there and how they get her out basically. And
Yeah.
oh yeah, and
Deploy
Blofeld
the
has
demons.
the one memorable thing he ever does or says in this film, which is prepare my battle thumb immediately. And it's like and he says that so loudly as well. And
Yeah,
he's just
it's like right after he does Mets, like go back to your post, and he's just like, yeah, can I get the
prepare my
fuck out,
battle
please?
That's the literal next line he has as well. And it's like
Yeah.
it's so dumb. Like and
And
No, I think it's kind of funny,
fortunately, it's among his last lines as well, because Bond uses the submarine as a wrecking ball, destroys the base, jumps off.
No, I would also, I'd say, respect to that guy, employee of the year, man. He's everything is exploding around him. They're getting invaded by like several different countries' armies, and he's still there at the mic, 10 seconds and count.
yeah, that guy's
Like
funny.
he is
Like,
devoted
He's
to
the
his
MVP,
work,
man.
he's like, yeah, That's like a really comical thing about this scene. They just have the mic guy there giving the ominous countdown, which is quite funny despite everything
Still
else.
hear him in my head.
Yeah, and
I thought
yeah,
it was quite cool to see Willard White piloting his own helicopter. By the way, I
Well,
think
he-
shout out.
he-
Forgot he was even piloting him anyway.
was he
Yeah.
piloting it, or was he just
Yeah.
like, sat there?
Yeah, Willard White. Yeah, Willard White's operating the helicopter, which Felix
Yeah,
likes.
well, think of how far this came. You had, Draco, like, in the helicopter in the previous film. Then you got this.
There you go. So anyway, then we get to the final scene, which is
Yeah.
Bond and Tiffany setting sail for wherever on the Titanic, apparently.
Yeah,
Yeah. One.
Anyway, what is cool though, what I fucking love is
Miss
as
Wint's
they're
good.
like drifting away, you see Wint and Kidd.
Yeah, that's all right actually. I think.
yeah.
Oh
This is
yeah,
like-
man. It's the classic Bond fourth act, but then you just like again, it gets you by surprise every time, and whether it's Blofeld or whether it's Bunt or Goldfinger or whoever, it's effective and I like it.
This
How
is like
they
the
deliver
first.
it is another
Yeah.
question. But I think it's interesting. The subtext is interesting because Bond has never seen them, even though they've
He has smelt them though.
he smelt
Yeah.
them. He recognized the aftershave, which I think is great because it's like Bond being a spy detective. But then I think it's just interesting that he doesn't recognize them by face, even though they've crossed paths
Twice.
multiple times.
Maybe
Well, I
Bond
tried to
is
kill him
autistic.
twice.
He just
You
has
have
really
the bomb cake, like the bomb surprise. Oh, what could this be?
Yeah, what? Yeah, another thing, like writing for Americans, like it can't be subtle at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's
like
much loved
they have a
it.
pretty camp death and everything.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I found stupid. The way they kill Mr. Wint, like him just like, ooh, like that was just so.
Pretty
That was just
embarrassing,
like
yeah.
that was the point where it's just like the fucking face palm, It's
I
just,
like how
At least there's like a minute left of the film, so you can go. All right, yeah, let's just get this done.
yeah.
I like
I
how
think the shock
music-
value is good. The subtext is good. The rest, nah.
I think the music cue is good. Like, is like the little like I don't know silly action theme. Then it ends with him getting blown up, which is quite. It's just really comical and
Yeah, and then Jill St. John says, "How are we going to get all those diamonds down?" And it's just like cute
Yeah.
laugh track. Here comes the credits. And the last thing I want to mention with this film is, at least from my side, at least, the last scene that Sean Connery ever filmed as James Bond in the Eon Productions was actually of him being in the casket put into the thing. So it's literally his funeral and
No way.
his
No
Bond,
way. Wow, that is interesting.
which was also filmed on a Friday the 13th. If anyone gives a shit. So
wow.
Interesting. So let's move on to the rankings. Let's go through this. I think this is going to be pretty straightforward. There's not going to be too many arguments on this one. Bond actor number 1, Sean Connery. Number 2, George Lazenby. I think this film did probably quite hurt Sean Connery's legacy overall.
Yeah.
I would say, but
he has
because
a
of
two,
who-
still has a 2 to 3 ratio of good films. So
yeah. Bond girl number 1, Tracy. Number 2, Domino. Number 3, Honey Rider. Number 4, Tatiana. Number 5, Aki/the wife. Number 6, Pussy Galore. Where are we going to put Tiffany Case?
bottom.
Yeah.
You both think bottom?
Yeah,
I think that's harsh. I'd probably
I think
put...
she just sucks in this film. I'm not gonna lie. Like
I feel bad for her.
she
like,
changes character like all the time.
Yeah, like they didn't.
Yeah,
know
but
what
I
to
don't
do
think
with
she's
her.
worse than any. She has a lot more to do than all these other ones. I would. I'd
She
be
has a lot more to
tempted
do,
to
but
put
she
her
doesn't
second.
kind of. No. Like she has a lot more to do, yes, but does she deliver on that? No. It's as simple as that, really. And I feel
All
bad
right, I
for her
mean,
'cause
I'm outnumbered here anyway. She's going bottom, but I personally, I think you two are a bit harsh on her. But
Yeah,
I'd
if
put her
anyone
higher. I'd put her
anyone
higher.
listening wants
That's
to
what I'm
say
saying.
otherwise, you feel free to tell us in the comments. But
Villains.
sorry, Jill
Number
St.
1, Blofeld, Donald Pleasance. Number 2, Goldfinger. Number 3, Blofeld, Telly Savalas. Number 4, Dr. No. Number 5, Rosa Klebb. Number 6, Largo. Number 7, Blofeld, Charles Gray.
I think we need to give him the what's it called, the George Clooney treatment. We just like put him several layers
Yeah,
below.
man. He'll get his just desserts. We've got 25 of these to go, man. Well, 20,
Total.
18 left, I think. Henchman. Odd Job, number 1. Red Grant, number 2. Bunt, number 3. Fiona, number 4. Number 5. Hands. Where are we going to
Just
put
go above
Mr.
Fiona.
Winton Kid?
Probably above Fiona.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, Bunt is
All right, yeah,
way
yeah.
better.
Wint
You're
and Kid,
joking.
fair enough. Wint and Kids in at number 4, below Bunt, above Fiona.
They're just about the only good thing I think about it.
Car/vehicle. We have number 1 Aston Martin DB5, number 2 Gyrocopter. I'm tempted to just put the moon buggy in here for shits and
that
giggles.
or the
Yeah,
Bathos
just put
sub
that in. No, the
Just
moon
put
buggy is like
in there
like
for a laugh.
iconic in this.
for a laugh.
But
M is still Bernard Lee, number 1. Q, Desmond Llewellyn. Moneypenny, Lois Maxwell. Okay, the Ally / Felix Leiter. We have number 1 Draco and Campbell. Number 2 Tiger Tanaka. Number 3 Coral and Leiter. Number 4 Karen Bay. Number 5 Leiter and Goldfinger. Number 6 Leiter and Thunderball. Our ally in this film is Leiter and
Mr. White.
who?
Mr.
White.
White.
Mr. White.
Mr. White. Yeah, I got stuck with this. Like, no, that's
You're
not
Mr. White.
That's a very different Mr. White.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah.
That's
Leiter,
who I think of when you two are talking about it because I haven't seen that series. So.
Willard White or
Mr.
there's also
White.
Mr. White and James Bond. So
Yeah.
When you, oh yeah, that's a good. Wow.
Yeah,
There's
there's also-
even-
You feel that? You forgot? Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, where are we going to put this? I think probably
bottom man.
last.
The fact that I actually forgot, I thought it might have been Shane. Remember, this guy's forgettable as hell, man. Like
Okay.
Right.
Gadget.
Let's get Q's
Q's
like
little
ring
what's it
thing.
called?
Oh, his slot machine thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bond doesn't use it though. We
Yeah,
need
but it's still
we
a
need what the
gadget.
Bond uses.
yeah, I know, but it has to be something
Oh,
Bond uses.
Okay.
Maybe the voice changing thing in the back of his neck.
Fake fingerprints.
They have to do with,
Yeah,
like, a little
fingerprints
sort-
a good shout. I think the fingerprint's quite good actually.
It's a bit generic.
Although,
but
yeah, it's
I
not
guess
like-
we'll
I
go with it.
prefer the voice changing modular thing.
Well, what else is there? The Python gun. The mouse trap.
That's fucking stupid though. Like that's the worst one of this
Well,
film.
the current rankings: number 1, the attaché case; number 2, the cigarette; number 3, Oddjob's hat; number 4, the rebreather; number 5, Wolf PPK; number 6, whatever we put from here. Do we even need to put anything? Because we didn't do anything for Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah,
I think we do because he does have gadgets. Let's just put the mouse trap at 6th.
Let's put fingerprints or something because the mousetrap is just—it's not really even a gadget. It's
Yeah, but
just
the
a-
mouse trap is just a piss take one because it's a
Oh,
piss
okay.
take.
Exactly. It's like like the moon bug.
Also, I like to point out that this guy like has his hand covered in like strawberry jam or something. Like
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Worst
effects
thing.
department got destroyed by Sean's payday.
Theme song. Okay. Number 1, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Number 2, the James Bond theme. Number 3, Goldfinger. Number 4, You Only Live Twice. Number 5, Thunderball. Number 6, From Russia with Love. Where are we putting Diamonds Are Forever? Performed by Shirley Bassey. Her second entry in this.
I'd still put it at the bottom.
Ooh, no way, man. Diamonds Are Forever.
I
No,
think
this is a classic, isn't it?
Still don't
it's a
like it.
classic, but this is about what we think.
Where would you
I
put it
will-
then, Tom? I'm open to put this.
Can you give the
more in
rankings
middle.
again?
Number 1, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Number 2, the James Bond theme. Number 3, Goldfinger. Number 4, You Only Live Twice. Number 5, Thunderball. Number 6, From Russia with Love.
Well, I'm usually a bit biased against ones that don't have words in them, but so for that reason, I put it above From Russia with Love. But like,
Russia with Love does have words in it though.
but are we talking about the pre-title sequence?
Yeah,
or...
the song, the main
Yeah.
song.
Oh, okay. Well, what do you think?
I'd probably put it below Goldfinger and above You Only Live Twice.
Nah, not that high. I think
Maybe
like,
below You Only Live Twice and above Thunderball. Above Thunderball,
I
certainly.
think it not above Thunderball. I think it goes below Thunderball. The thing I like about Thunderball's one is that the sequences are like memorable. Like go the song, they're quite iconic. But
All right, well,
Yeah.
we meet in the middle. That's fair. Oh, the opening. Number 1, Goldfinger.
Oh,
Number
just- there's
2,
not even
On Her
a
Majesty's
question
Secret
about this
Service.
shit.
Number 3, From Russia with Love. Number 4, You Only Live Twice. Number 5, Thunderball. Number 6, Diamonds Are Forever.
This was.
Yeah,
If anything could set you up for disappointment, it's this.
Okay,
Mhm.
the Sigma moment. We have number 1, Goldfinger, I own the club. Number 2, Red Grant. Number 3, Blofeld, extortion is my business. Number 4, Dr. No, $1 million. Mr. Bond. Number 5, Tracy, I'm already a countess. Number 6, David Niven. Number 7, I did it for King and Country. So what are we nominating from here and where are we putting it? Bear in mind, I have no...
Tell
I
me he's
completely
fired.
forgot.
Tell him he's fired or
like we already had a "you're fired" like thing from was it in the Batman's?
It was Batman Returns, Christopher Walken.
Yeah. That was it. I mean, that was just generally like
Um,
Sigma character anyway. So
Yeah.
oh yeah, it was
Yeah.
yeah, that was one of the candidates for that film, but we ended up doing the thing. It was like actually I can push her out the window.
But wasn't that in the same?
Probably, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, what are we choosing from here? Maybe.
It's really
Well,
poor
no,
choice.
didn't we say Blofeld said something pretty Sigma? We are going to put it last, but
We should put. Do you reckon the bit where he goes
Oh,
like,
that was the thing. Yeah, where he's like, "Yeah, go back to your post, or I'll have you shot."
Yeah,
Fell
yeah,
back
yeah,
or
yeah, and
something
then
immediately.
dips. Yeah. That's quite
"Prepare
Sigma.
my batho sub"?
Yeah, you know,
Maybe
his,
we should put that a little high at the bottom though.
yeah, his battle sub has a, his battle sub or batho sub, whatever. It has only
It
room
says
for
Battle
one.
Submarine.
Yeah, his battle submarine
Batho sub,
has
I
room for
think.
one because it's lonely at the top.
Okay, well, where are we putting that? Maybe below. Maybe. Oh, David Niven is a Sigma male though.
I think this is kind of like funny enough to maybe be above David Niven's one.
Yeah, all right, let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's put it sixth, below Tracy, above David Niven. Blofeld. No, yeah, prepare my battle sub.
Prepare my
And
batho sub.
finally, the ranking, the film itself. So we have number 1, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Number 2, Goldfinger. Number 3, You Only Live Twice. Number 4, Doctor No. Number 5, From Russia with Love. Number 6, Thunderball. Number 7, Casino Royale. I would put it sixth, below From Russia with Love, above Thunderball.
I think it
Kind
goes
of below
below
Thunderball. Just
Thunderball.
saying.
Okay.
What this could have been feeds into how bad it is.
I would rather watch. I would rather. Would you two honestly watch Thunderball before this on a Sunday
Yeah.
afternoon? It's raining. You got nothing else to do. Say you go. You're on a marooned on a desert island. Would you really take Thunderball with you before Diamonds Are Forever?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Bond
fair
is
enough.
better. The villain's better. The Bond
It's
girl's
not just
better. I don't
yeah.
see how it's like even a question.
And it's not just this is the thing. It's not just how I fit how what the content of this film is. It's what it isn't and what it could have been. Like
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's not good. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's Diamonds Are Forever. Thank God that's over. We've ended that. We've ended kind of. This is sort of the closing of a chapter now in the Sean Connery era.
not yet.
Next week we have the Roger Moore era begins with Live and Let Die. So that's gonna be fun. So join us next time. Make sure you do all those things that you do to your favorite YouTubers and podcasters. And we'll be back. Same bat time, same bat channel.